Hello everybody and welcome to Expert Examiner IELTS' live stream. My name is Glyn. This one will of course be the last live stream of the year and probably almost certainly the last content of the year for me. It's only my second year on YouTube. I've been here for I think a year and a half in total. I think I started in approximately May 2020, where are we? May 2024, I think I started, and by the end of the year. Hello everybody and welcome to Expert Examiner. I think I got something like 2,000 subscribers at the end of last year, and now I'm up to very close to 14,000 subscribers. Not crazy numbers, but you know, not bad. Not bad for a year and a half's work. Yeah, we'll see. 2026, we'll see what it has. I think I have to change the content a little bit. You know, it's not very watchable content at the moment. It's very useful for candidates, but it's not the most watchable content. It doesn't get eyes. But, you know, hopefully some people enjoy it. I certainly do. So I guess I'm live. I heard some background noise from another window I had, so hopefully I'm audible to everybody. I don't actually have the chat here, so I'm going to just pop out the chat. I just need that. Just give me a moment. Someone's asking, am I live now? That's in Telegram. Yes, I am live. I hope I'm live, but I can't see the chat right now. So what I'm going to do is, and I should have done this before, I'm going to open up the stream and open up the chat, and then I'll be able to see what other people are writing. I hope I don't have to ban anybody today. Last week, I think I had to put one person on timeout or something like this. The stream, and but I hope I don't have to do that today. And also last week, we had a situation where somebody was like, somebody had applied from, I think, 3 different accounts or something, and then we had to cancel the test, and it was a little bit awkward. So remember, if you... yeah, I've got my chat popped out. That's great. If you, when I put the call for candidates out in the Telegram chat, please only write one message, not multiple messages, because it's not fair to everybody. I'm just having a look at the chat. Somebody says, Glyn, can we use Discord if I would be the candidate? No, future Sancho. I have all of this set up. Now, I don't use Discord. I've never used Discord to have a voice, to have a video chat. I don't know how it works. Killer Joker says, let's start. Sorry, Killer Joker, but when you have your live stream, you can start it when you want to start yours. Yeah, so, or maybe that's an old message. I have no idea. So a few people are in the chat, some kind of familiar names, 1 or 2. But not too many messages, which is good news for you people. Bad news for me as the content creator, as the streamer, because, you know, we all want views. But good news for you, because the fewer people there are, the more chance you have of being selected. Now, what usually happens is something like we have 10 viewers, and then something like 30 people want a speaking test. And you think, well, where did those 30 people come from? Surely you can't all be watching. Yeah, a few nice messages there. Hi, Glyn. Happy New Year. Wish you health and wealth. Cool. I definitely would like to have more health. I'm not unhealthy, but, you know, I care more about health than wealth, let's say. Najmuddin says, let's start speaking, Mark. You're not the boss here, and I have to keep reminding people of this fact. People keep trying to direct me and tell me, like, oh, start the stream 1 hour earlier, or please start the stream 45 minutes later, or please let's do Discord, or start the speaking Mark now. It will start when it starts, right? It will start when it starts. You have to calm down. When you... If you become a streamer one day in the future, you'll realize that sometimes it takes, you know, a couple of minutes for everyone to kind of come in. And so you have to have a little bit of a warmer. I won't won't speak for too long before the first speaking test. We will get there. I just want to say hello to everybody first and just check a few messages. How do we know if someone cheats by writing several messages? Yeah, we don't always know. Some people get away with it, but sometimes they can't. Like last week, there was a different name. The name of the person on Zoom, or maybe I shouldn't. No, actually, I shouldn't say this. I'm not going to say, but there are some ways of checking if people are cheating. Beautiful Girl says, "Are you native, Glyn?" I guess you mean, are you a native speaker? Yeah, my background is in sociolinguistics, so we don't use the term native speaker. We use the term L1 user or even expert user. Yeah, English is my first language. I have a couple of first languages, actually, English and Welsh, which is nice to have two native languages or two L1s. I also speak Russian, and I speak a tiny amount of Chinese, and I learned French in school. So, I have a few languages in my head. Cool. Any other messages? Your jokes always hit the point. Not always. My jokes very often are not appreciated by everybody. I'm sorry to say, here you are, boss. Yeah, it's okay. It's just, sometimes people can be quite pushy and quite demanding. It's the internet. I don't know if you've ever spoken with people on the internet. People are interesting, let's say. But okay, let's not waste your time, because I understand why people are here. They're not here to listen to me waffling on and talking nonsense. They're here in the hope of possibly getting a speaking test. So I'm gonna Sardorbek says, can you say something in Russian? Да, я могу сказать что-нибудь на русском. Я не знаю, что ты хочешь, чтобы я сказал, но меня зовут Глyn, я из Уэльса, это часть Великобритании. Много думают, что Уэльс — это Англия, но Уэльс — это не Англия, поэтому мне надо объяснить каждый раз, что именно такое Уэльс и так далее, и что такое Великобритания, и вот. So there you go. There's a little bit of something in Russian. Bonus says, how much does your mock test cost? Just check any video that I have, check the description of any video that I have, and then look up my website. Then you'll see everything. Cool. Anyway, let's not turn this into Russian. I was thinking maybe one day I would do like an IELTS speaking test in Russian, but the examiner would be a Russian and ask me questions in Russian, and then I would have to answer in Russian. I don't think I would do very well. I think, I would do okay. I would get like 6.0, 6.5. I don't think I would get 7. Russian, the way that people measure Russian speech is very harsh, I think, compared to English, where I've done some tests in Russian and it's like, you have 3 grammar mistakes, so you can't get C1. It's like, whereas in English, you only need 51% of grammatical accuracy to maybe get even an 8. So yeah, interesting. У вас хороший русский, как научились? Yeah, sorry, Maral, but this isn't the place for me to talk about my history of learning Russian, because people want to do their speaking tests. But thank you for the questions. One more question. Could you please tell me how examiners actually check essays? Yeah, they spend about maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes reading the essay. They don't read every word. They go through it very, very quickly and then give you the mark straight away. They don't have, interestingly, in some, I've been an examiner for some tests where you get you get marking notes. I can't go into too much detail because examiners are not, we're not allowed to give secrets and specific details. I can do it for IELTS, but I can't do it for other exams. But with some exams, you get marking notes, and it gives you a lot of guidance about, okay, how are we going to approach this question? What difficulties might test takers have with this question? Some people might make this assumption, and so they might go a little bit off topic in body paragraph 2, so we should accept that and we should not punish it. And we get a lot of guidance in some tests. IELTS is not like that at all. IELTS, you just become an examiner and then you're trusted to apply the marking criteria. Examiners are paid not for the time that they work with writing, but they are paid per script or per essay or per report that they check. And so there is an incentive, a monetary financial incentive for IELTS examiners to be very fast with the writing. Obviously, once you've, if you've checked hundreds or thousands of writing tasks before, you can do it very quickly. Like I can give a mark in about 2 minutes now of reading an essay, 2 minutes of just reading through and then giving the mark. And I think that's how most IELTS examiners do it. The newer examiners, of course, spend a bit more time. And if you're an examiner and your accuracy has been questioned before, if you've got some stuff wrong before, then you might spend a little bit more time because you want to make sure that you're right. But if you're an experienced examiner, then yeah, you can do it really, really quickly. So yeah, they don't spend time analysing every word. And this is why, clarity of ideas is really, really important, because an IELTS examiner doesn't want to read super long essays. They don't want to read super complex ideas where they have to make sense of it, because it wastes their time and that means money. What is your original job? What do you do to cover living expenses? Well, I'm an examiner. I do a lot of examining. I'm also an English teacher. What speaking mistakes are common in Uzbek students? Asks beautiful girl. So pronunciation-wise, id, watchid, listened, washid, relaxed. They often use that id ending for all regular past simple verbs. Sometimes we use it, of course, like interested or wanted, but we don't always use it. And candidates from Uzbekistan often have difficulties with that consonant cluster, just using something like watched, putting a ch and a t together, or listened, putting a n and a d together, listened. This also happens with s, so candidates from Uzbekistan find it very difficult to say months, because now they have to put the n, the th, and the s together, 3 months, and so they say months, because it's easier for them to spit out another syllable. Instead of months, which requires a months, they say months, and even things like friend is. So that's a very noticeable mistake from candidates from Uzbekistan. I also think candidates from Uzbekistan prepare for the IELTS test as if it's an achievement test, not a proficiency test. And in achievement tests, this is where it might be a test at school where it's okay, I wonder if I'm still streaming or not. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a technical issue where the internet just suddenly died. Doesn't happen very often to me, but of course, once you start the live stream, unfortunately that happens. Apparently the chat is trying to reconnect, so I can't see the chat right now, but it looks like I'm back. Yeah, anyway, so if you do have questions, then please do let me know towards the end of the stream. I will ask for invitations for questions a little bit later, but most people are here to hopefully get a speaking test. And so I'm going to go to my Telegram chat right now. And in my Telegram chat, I'm going to write, if you are watching the YouTube stream right now and would like to be considered and would like to be the first candidate, please reply to this message with me or interested. Please only leave one response. People are already saying me please to the other message. I don't know why they do that, but it happens. So I've just put that message in Telegram now, so if you're on my Telegram channel you will see that. Yeah, you will see that. So I'll just give just a couple of minutes just for those messages to come flying in. I think we've already got 9 responses, 9 candidates. While I'm waiting for those things to come in, I just want to check the chat again. What do you think about task 2? Not a very direct question. I will say that it's not a very clear question. I will say that task 2 is very enjoyable because it's the only part where we can, forget about our role as an examiner. We just get to sit and listen to the candidate talk. So for me, I really enjoy part 2. Sardorbek says, I got overall 6.5 in speaking. However, when I got breakdown, there were 4 sevens. Yeah, the reason that happens, Sardorbek, and it actually happens quite often, when you ask for the breakdown, you get the breakdown of what the first examiner, the examiner in the room, gave you. So the examiner in the room gave you 4 sevens, overall band 7. Now, some other senior examiner or quality assurance examiner has checked that, because there are quality checks, not on all tests, but that quality assurance examiner has decided that no, you're not 7, you're 6.5, which is a bit unfair, but it's really dumb why this happens. But the breakdown you get is from the original first examiner, and the final mark that you get is from the second quality assurance or senior examiner that has checked it. And they do it blind, so they don't see what you got in the first. They don't see what the first examiner gave, but they just award the different mark. So 6.5, yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it? But they're not very transparent about that. Why in speaking 8887 is considered an overall 7.5? That's just what Cambridge Assessment decide, Bones. They decide that they're going to round up for the overall mark. So the mix between reading, writing, speaking, listening, they round up. So, 7.75 goes up to 8, but in speaking and in writing, 7.75 rounds down. Why do they do that? I don't know. Ask Cambridge Assessment why that's their policy, but that's their policy. There are a few more questions coming in, but I'm not taking those questions right now because I think it's time to choose a candidate. We have 26 responses. I don't know how many viewers there are, but I don't feel like there are 26 viewers, but okay. Just checking that people haven't left multiple messages. Looks like nobody's cheated this time. Okay, so I'm going to pick a number at random. I'm not going to do it. A bot is going to do it. I'm just going to get that bot right now. Random number generator. And there are 26, right? Let's just check that that's right. Oh, 24. So 24, Gleb says, please me. Saying please, while it's polite, it doesn't affect the selection process because it's done at random. Only 24 comments. So I'll pick a number between 1 and 24. I'll hit the generate a couple of times. And the number we have is number 13. Unlucky for some, 13. Let's see who is number 13. I need to go there. I need to go there. Who is number 13? 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 13 is somebody called Nasiba. So well done to Nasiba. You have been randomly selected as today's candidate, and I'm going to send the link to you in Telegram. Some people are a little late, like Dabil just wrote me. Well, a bit late, sorry. So I've just written to Nasiba and said, hey, you can join me here. We'll now give Nasiba a couple of minutes, or like 90 seconds, maximum 2 minutes to join. If Nasiba doesn't join, then we will select another candidate. A few more messages coming in. Again, my name is Gleb. I am from Russia. Cool. Nice to meet you, Gleb. We'll see. Maybe I'll take another question. There are some questions like I can't answer. Like the question I get most is like from Umar Alimov here, who says, how can I improve my speaking to 7+ from 6.0? How long it will take to achieve this score? How long will it take versus how long it will take? So to me, it suggests that, you're probably not a C1 user in terms of grammar from that fairly simple mistake. How long does it take? Well, I don't know. And what can you do? Well, you can only really get better at English. Exam strategy isn't going to help you. Exam strategy can help you like 5% or maybe 10% or something like this. The best thing that exam strategy does is that it gives you, familiarity with the test. But I can't, without knowing what your strengths or weaknesses are, Umar, I can't tell you what you need to do to go from band 6 to 7. I can tell you that buying a course from, buying a course online that guarantees you a band 7, that's not going to get you a band 7. Buying a course with IELTS strategies isn't going to do it. Improving your English is going to do it. If your problem is grammar, improve your grammar. If your problem is vocab, improve your vocab. It's not rocket scientist. IELTS is just a test of your English. If you're 6.0, then your English level is 6.0 probably. And, learn English. How do I learn English? How long does it take? I think realistically a person can go from 6 to a 7 in 6 months. I think, with good targeted practice, 6 months seems very, very achievable. You might even get lucky one day and get a lucky examiner. So Nasiba says, can you wait? And the answer is no, I can't wait because it's a live stream. So I'm going to choose somebody else. And again, guys, I was hoping to do three tests today. And the reason I was hoping to, and I can only do 3 tests if people actually come to the, if people actually turn up to the tests when they say. If you put your name in, I'm going to assume that you'll be ready to go immediately. Now, Nasiba, unfortunately, isn't ready to go, and so I have to pick another candidate. And now Nasiba is writing, a minute, please. Well, no, we've already waited 3 minutes. So, I mentioned earlier, please only apply if you are ready to join immediately because it's a live stream. So I'm going to pick, as Nasiba continues to write away and say that they have problems, which is sad. It's unfortunate. It's not ideal. And I'm really sorry that you have problems with internet, Nasiba. But, so we have a few more messages now, 26 in total. So I'm going to go back to my random number generator. I'm going to pick a new candidate. And this time we have number 26. That's the last one. So that will be easy to find. 26 is Rema. Rema 8.5S. So I guess Rema has 8.5 in speaking in IELTS. Let's find out if that's true or not. You can join me here. So I've written to Rema. We'll now give Rema a couple of minutes. Some people are still writing me. Obviously, time is up. We'll give Rema maximum of 2 minutes to see if they come, and if they don't come, we'll go to a third candidate. This is why I stopped doing the free speaking tests, because you will not believe how difficult it is to find candidates for free speaking tests. It is impossibly difficult. I challenge you, go out there and see if you can find anyone who's interested in a free speaking test. There are lots of people who say that they're interested, but my goodness, so many people, so many winners either ignore or they don't come on time or something happens. It's tough. But I will remind you, and again, I can't do anything to control this, but please, 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 if you want the free speaking tests to continue, please only put your name in as a candidate if you are available to do the test immediately. Rema says hello. I'm glad Rema is saying hello, but I wish Rema would just join the Zoom call. That would be nice. Do Indian examiners put lower score? No, they shouldn't. Sometimes, in general, I would say no. But it is like I've worked with a lot of examiners over the years, and I do feel like L2 examiners, so like people whose first language is not English, they tend to be a little bit stricter, they tend to be a little bit harsher. I don't know why that is. I have some theories and some explanations, but what I can say, if you're worried that, you know, the Indian examiner is going to give lower scores, their marking is checked. Their marking is checked by other people, so they won't often give bad marks. However, we have Rahmatullah. So Rahmatullah is here, and hopefully we have our first candidate. Hi Rahmatullah, can you hear me okay? Ooh, I can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly now.
I'm
yeah.
happy to see you again.
Yeah, did we have a speaking test before?
Yeah, it was in summer, I think.
I just want to check you didn't cheat in the. You didn't put multiple.
No, I know the rules, so I just only wrote from my profile that I'm using currently.
As I remember, I don't know 100%, but if I remember correctly, I give you a score of like 7.5, something like this.
Sure. 7.5 at most.
So how have you been? How have you been since then? I think it's been, I don't know how long, like at least 3 months, I guess. And in your profile, I see it says like Rema 8.5. Does it mean you got your 8.5 in speaking eventually?
No. Like I got overall 8.5, and it was 2 years ago. Since that time, I haven't set a test, and like I'm preparing now. Probably next month, I'm gonna see the test.
Cool. Do you remember any of the key takeaways from the feedback that I gave you in our first speaking test?
Yeah, of course, it was so useful. I can remember everything. I kind of couple of times watched the video, worked on my mistakes somehow. Yeah, it was so detailed feedback. Like, probably I was so lucky to have talked with you because like you kind of showed the mistakes that I didn't realize before, and I somehow I worked on them.
Cool.
I tried to.
I'm really pleased that you found the feedback useful. What I'd like for you to tell the audience now is not how wonderful and detailed I am, but just mention a few things that I said that, you know, things where you could do a little bit better. What specifically were those points?
Okay, I used to prioritize vocabulary, like, and also I didn't pay attention just communication. I tried to show off my language, and that's why my score like was lower than my potential, probably because we had sort of a conversation before a test and a conversation after a test, and you said that your level is good, but during the test you kind of turned on an exam mode, so you made a couple of mistakes that native native speakers wouldn't make, and I was like, wow. And yeah, I kind of tried to come up with complex grammar, vocabulary. I didn't think about communicating with you, but I wanted to show off my language. That was my probably biggest mistake at the time.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like the advice, like act natural, feels like a contradiction when we tell people, like, oh, just treat it like it's a conversation or a discussion. It's like, well, when in your life do you go into a strange room with a stranger and they ask you things like, what do you do at the weekend? And it's like, that doesn't happen too often. So it is an intimidating environment and it is artificial. But I do think, you know, it is important to try to keep things as natural as possible. But okay, so you have plans, I guess. Do you have like ambitions to get the overall 9? Is this your goal now?
That is what I'm after. I'm preparing. I've been preparing for a couple of months. Probably hopefully I'll kind of pull it off in my upcoming test. But God knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any? I don't know if you have a Telegram channel or anything, or if you're a teacher, if you want people to find you somewhere.
Yeah. I am a teacher, have a Telegram channel, but I've not been running it for a couple of past months. I don't know, 6 months, 7 months, because like I'm fully focused on my preparation. And once I get the 9, probably I'll start running it again. But now I'm not running it.
Cool. All right. Well, of course, I don't need to go over the format of the test. You're very familiar with everything that happens, so I guess we can jump straight in. The only thing I'll ask is, do you have any questions before we begin our test?
No, everything's okay. Familiar with everything.
Cool. Awesome. All right. I'm just pulling up the test for today. And by the way, for part 2, you won't see it this time as a screen share, but during part 2, I'll send it to you in the Zoom chat. Now, I will give, an extra few seconds if you need it to find it, so don't stress out about time, but in part 2, I'll send you that cue card in the Zoom chat. But all right. Best of luck. Let's see if you can improve on this 7.5. So, good evening. My name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
Yes, my full name is Rahmatullah Safarov.
And what should I call you?
Just Rahmatullah.
Okay, thank you. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Do you work or do you study?
Well, I'm afraid my student days are behind me now. I graduated from university 2 years ago, and since that time, I've been working as an English teacher.
What do you like most about teaching English?
Well, I like to work with students. My job allows me to work with students who come from different walks of life, communicate with them, and help them to improve their knowledge. It's just, very good feeling. Just you're helping to others.
And is there anything you'd like to change or improve about your job?
Well, the only thing I can't bear is uniform stuff. In my workplace, every teacher should wear the same dress code, which is restrictive at times. I would really want to change it.
Do you think you'll still be an English teacher in 10 years from now?
Yeah, I love my job. So I think I'll be doing the same job for upcoming 10 years. I've got my plans to run my own business, but only if I am financially stable.
Okay, let's talk about your family now. Do you come from a big family?
I live in an extended family, definitely. I live with my siblings, 3 siblings, my father and my mother, and also my grandparents.
And who do you get on with best in your family?
It's my mother. I really like to talk with her. With my father, we have got a little distance. It's just in our tradition. We can't talk with our father freely. It's only through our mothers. And also, I get on well with my sister. Like whenever I have to do, whenever I have to like do something really important, I kind of consult with her. She's very good at giving advice.
And do you ever argue with any family members?
We have got Black Sheep of our family. It's my little brother who's so naughty, so mischievous. Sometimes we have got small arguments over the things, but hopefully he's going to change in the future.
And are you planning to do anything interesting with any family members soon?
We're planning to travel to Tashkent next week. I think it's going to be very interesting because my grandparents haven't been to Tashkent yet. I really want to take them to Magic City, and I think it's going to be very interesting for us.
Now let's talk about your primary school. What did you learn in primary or elementary school?
Well, in Uzbekistan, we have got that multidisciplinary school curricula where students are, supposed to study a lot of subjects, like compulsory subjects. So when I was at primary school, I learned basic math, English, and also I think we had art classes, and what else? Yeah, pretty much these subjects.
And do you remember any of your teachers from this time?
I remember some of my teachers vividly because, like, the way they organized lessons were very engaging and very inspiring. I can remember my math teacher who inspired me a lot. I can remember my English teacher who kind of developed passion in me towards the English language.
And who were your friends in primary school?
My friends were, my peers definitely, and unlike many other boys, I was very good at communicating with girls also. So I had friends both from girls and boys, and I got on well with them.
And what did you do at break time or lunchtime when you were at primary school?
Well, I can't remember vividly. Probably we just played some games, like during break time or lunchtime. I think we didn't eat anything because I don't know. Probably it was too short, like only 10 minutes. We kind of had a break, so we. I think we just went out for some time to just only refresh our mind and came back to class.
Okay,
Nothing
thank you.
really special.
All right, in this next part of the test, I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to speak about this topic for 1 to 2 minutes. But before that, you will have 1 minute to prepare for your talk, and you may take notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yeah, of course.
And do you have a pen and piece of paper with you?
Sure.
Cool. All right, I will now share the topic with you in our Zoom chat.
Mhm.
Can you see the topic?
Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
It is a time when you felt embarrassed, right?
That's right. I'd like you to talk about a time when you felt embarrassed. Your 1 minute of preparation time starts now.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the end of your preparation time. To remind you, you'll have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk, and I will let you know when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Yeah, of course. Galene, before I delve into this topic, I should probably mention that I'm very clumsy, and usually I drop the things and I kind of break them down. And such a situation, like happened like 2 weeks ago, which was so embarrassing for me. 2 weeks ago, one of my colleagues was throwing a party. It was a birthday party, and during the birthday parties, we have got one tradition. Like we kind of like throw a party in our workplace, and we kind of invite everybody to come and sit together around the table. And usually we serve different food. This time we kind of ordered plo. You know what plo is, I guess. It is just Uzbek traditional food. We cook it in different occasions, special events, and yeah, this time also we did the same, and we ordered plov from a nearby restaurant. And I was the youngest among my colleagues, so I was in charge of bringing it when the delivery arrived. It was in a big pot. Usually we serve it in a big pot. It's called tavak in Uzbek. And I don't know if it is available in other countries, but it is sort of a big pot. And I kind of carried it, and I was bringing it to the room. Unfortunately, I slept and dropped it. Then all the food dropped, and the dish broke down. Unfortunately, I felt really embarrassed, but it was really silly also because some of my colleagues got surprised, they laughed, but some of them just frowned. I think everybody was very hungry at the time. Like it was around 1 o'clock. I like couldn't say a word. Just I left the room and I couldn't bear laughing loudly.
All right, thank you. Okay, so you've been talking about this time when you dropped a pot or a plate. Let's talk a little more about embarrassing situations now. Firstly, why do people feel sometimes embarrassed in social situations? Ooh, have I frozen or have you frozen? Can you hear me?
Yes, now it's okay. I don't know. Something happened.
That's okay. Let me repeat the question. Let's talk now about feelings of embarrassment. Why do people sometimes feel embarrassed in social situations?
Like people tend to feel embarrassed when they literally drop the ball. Let's say, although they're old enough, they sometimes like behave clumsily, right, or act clumsily. For example, they might drop something, or they might say the word without looking at considering the real meaning of the word, right? And they might seem really silly in front of others, and as a result, people tend to feel embarrassed.
Mhm. And can you think of any situations where people maybe feel embarrassed without doing something wrong? Like you mentioned, dropping something. Are there any situations where people just feel embarrassed just for being there?
Mm, wow, it's an interesting question. Let me think. Uh, I don't know. Maybe like without doing something, just being there. Wow.
Do people ever have like any sense of embarrassment, maybe on first dates or in job interviews or anything like this in your country?
Wow. Uh, yeah, probably people might feel embarrassed in some situations, like as you said, during, for example, job interviews. Like people might embarrass that they may fail to answer questions properly, or they try to show off something, right, and act like stupidly in some situations, probably. But I don't know, like I can't come up with
That's okay.
proper
Let's
ideas
move
for
on.
this.
Let's move on. Do you think some people are more easily embarrassed than others?
Yes. Some people are, more sensitive to situations. Yeah, I know that there are a lot of people who just don't feel so embarrassed, although they kind of make a mistake, just silly mistakes, right? But yeah, some people are just naturally sensitive.
Mhm.
They like although they don't make something wrong, they kind of tend to be a little shy, a little embarrassed, just only being there, just only being present in the situation. Yeah, it depends on their characters.
Now let's talk about how people deal with embarrassment. How do people usually deal with embarrassing situations?
Or they like try to make up for the thing that have they made, the silly thing that have made, probably in many cases. uh, let's say just they let's say dropped something, and they say like, I'll kind of bring the new one, promise to correct my mistake or stuff like that. Or else, or some people just try to laugh with others in an embarrassing situations. By doing so, they kind of try to behave that they are not feeling so embarrassed.
Do you think embarrassing experiences can make people more confident in the future?
Could you repeat the question, please? Because just internet connection somehow,
Mhm.
maybe with me, took a week.
Do you think there are any times when having an embarrassing experience can make someone learn or make somebody even more confident in the future?
Uh, it depends. I think boils down to personality, because there are some people who try to learn the things from their mistakes, from the past mistakes and embarrassing situations, and so that in the future they will not repeat the same mistake. But there are some people who are probably, I don't know, so complacent, and maybe even like, let's say, they don't want to admit that they have made a mistake, or they don't have the feeling of the embarrassment, probably. So for such people, I think it's too difficult to learn a new thing, or to learn like a lesson from what they have made.
And finally, do you think it's better just to laugh about embarrassing situations, or is it better just to try to forget about them?
A mix of both. Like when something embarrassing has happened, I think in sometimes we have to laugh to just help the people, to help the person who is feeling so embarrassed, right? Like we have to help him or her to get out of that embarrassment situation, as if we are so happy with what he has done or she has done, right? But in some case, it might hurt the feelings of others. It's just better to just forget what has happened, probably.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. All right, I'm going to ask the chat first of all. The chat seems quite quiet. I'm going to ask people in the chat just to give their opinion. What score do you think the candidate deserves for this performance? If you want to give the breakdown, then you can do that too. I'm going to go to you, Rahmatullah. The first thing, as you remember, I always ask candidates is, how are you feeling? You had a lot of difficult things to deal with, the internet connection. Also, there was one question in part 3, the first one, that I think really threw you. And not easy. I think it was not an easy part 3 for you, but tell me about your thoughts or your comments.
Okay, truth be told, I was just sleeping, and out of sudden I saw that you were just streaming, and I just at the end I kind of wrote to the Telegram channel. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect that I would be chosen, but fortunately or luckily I've been chosen. So I'm still in the mode of, like, what we can say, I'm a little sleepy now. So like my brain is not working properly. I'm not being able to catch the question and come up with proper ideas. There might be the reason, because the questions are not so easy and so difficult, but it is just because of me. Like out of sudden, I was chosen without expectation. Like, so there might be the reason why I kind of had difficult time to come up with some proper ideas.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't
every
think
candidate says the same thing, actually, that they didn't think that they would be chosen. And I had that when I was doing these free speaking tests. That was the thing that I got the most from candidates, where it was like, hey, are you ready for your speaking test? And people said, no, sorry, I didn't expect to be chosen. That's why I put my name in there. And it's like, oh, mama. But okay, part 1 themes. How did you feel about talking about your family? About what else did you have? Talking about your primary school? Were those familiar, easy enough topics for you?
I don't think I did a good job in part 1, because I don't know, like I felt that again I couldn't show my full potential here. I made a couple of mistakes, silly mistakes, and
do you remember any
like,
mistakes you made?
yeah, probably I made a mistake when I was answering the question that you asked about breaks. What I did during breaks, I don't know.
What was the mistake?
I talked about lunch, or I kind of made a grammar mistake there, as far as I remember. Like I kind of confused the tense, probably, than vowels. I don't know, but I know that I made some mistakes there. Although part 1 questions were not very difficult, like a person like who knows English quite well can like properly talk about those topics without any difficulty. But yeah, I made mistakes, definitely.
From our previous test, do you remember anything I mentioned about pronunciation issues? Any sounds that you mixed up?
Pronunciation, yeah, of course. Like, I don't know if it is pronunciation, but you kind of talked about preposition mistakes.
That's
When I
not
was
pronunciation.
no, like when I was pronouncing preposition,
I see what
and
you
it
mean.
tend
Like,
to a
I'm
lot of
really
emphasis.
afraid of spiders, things like this.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
depends on
Do you
something like
remember
this.
about any specific individual sounds? So not about stress timing or sentence stress, any individual sounds. Like in English, we have but and we have cut and we have ch and we have duh.
No, I can't remember.
I think I don't know if I mentioned it. I kind of, when you were speaking, I thought about it, and the what and the v. So sometimes you mix up the what and the v sound. Like when you say words like word, it sounds like verd. When you say were, it sounds like ver. So Russian speakers often do this. I don't know. I know, like Uzbekistan and the history, that there is some connection in some pronunciation issues there. But yes, sometimes your was sound like vuz, and there was, I think you said, like, I slept instead of I slipped. This is something we call a minimal pair, where there's just like one sound that's different. So like slip and slept, slipped, slept. That was like a small little slip in terms of pronunciation. I do think your pronunciation's very clear. I would be careful just in part one. You started off speaking rather fast, and we don't want to speak so fast that the examiner can't judge your rhythm or judge your stress timing. It is written in the band descriptors that, rapid speech limits a score to a certain thing. But over the course of the test, despite a few like minor mispronunciations, like you said, naughty instead of naughty, so you were like putting the O, the phone sound, naughty, and it should be naughty with the O, or in American English, naughty. So naughty, fine. Naughty, fine. But naughty or naughty, so just a couple of minor issues with pronunciation, but I think it is enough to pull you down for 8 for pronunciation. Your grammar is very, very accurate. You did have, just a couple of minor grammar mistakes. I'm even looking and trying to find, and I don't know if I wrote down. I think you said like they might embarrass that instead of they might be embarrassed that, or they might get embarrassed. So a couple of very minor mistakes, but in general, you're very accurate. The majority of your sentences are without mistakes, which is, the first thing in band 8. We're looking for the majority of sentences without mistakes, and you do have that. I think your accuracy with your range of grammar is also okay. Like in the second part, you used past continuous, great. Don't know if you used some past perfect, but you used a variety of present tenses and past tenses. You said your grandparents haven't been to Tashkent yet, which, shows some degree of some fairly complex structure. So I think probably enough for the 8 in grammar too. There were a few instances with vocab that made me, again, it just, my ears were going like, what is that? You said you live in an extended family, or you live with an extended family. What is an extended family?
Extended family, like you live with your relatives, grandparents, and like in the same house, as far as I know.
Yeah, and so an extended family, that includes your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. And so, it's good that you know that term extended family, but I live in an extended family. I've never heard that expression before. I live in an extended family. And, again, a more natural way is, I have quite a big family. I live with my parents and my siblings, and also our grandparents live with us. So, that's just a much more natural way of phrasing it. And sometimes I do feel still, I don't think the problem is as bad as it was before, but at times I do still feel like you're trying to like game the IELTS test. You started this with before I delve into this topic, which felt like a pre-rehearsed beginner. And I don't know about the previous part 2. I don't know if you started that one before I delve into this topic. You might have, but I felt like it worked there, and that was okay. I do think though in your part 2, like if you notice if you look at the cue card, right, it says talk about a time when you felt embarrassed, and then it wants you to do 2 things here. It wants you to talk about facts, when this happened, who you were with, what happened to make you feel embarrassed. But then it also wants you to reflect on your feelings, right? Say how you felt after the situation. And I felt like you did a good job of telling the story of what happened, but you were adding quite a lot of background information, and that meant that you didn't quite get to that part of like talking about how you felt. Now, of course, the only important thing is that you talk about a time when you felt embarrassed, but with these IELTS part 2s, they're usually split into like facts and feelings, and so we want to make sure that we hit both of those things. Other things with vocab you mentioned, again, just minor issues. Like I asked, who are your friends? And you said, oh, my friends were my peers. And it's like, to be at the age of 4 or 5 and to talk about your peers is a bit weird. Like, you talk about your peers usually when you're an adult, and it's usually about status and things like this. So for a 4 or a 5-year-old or a 6 or a 7-year-old to have peers just sounds a little bit odd. You know, I would think, like, when people, if you ask me who were your friends in primary school, I wouldn't say, oh, they were my peers. I would say, oh, I remember this one kid, Corey Roberts, I think his name was. He was so funny. Like, even at the age of like 6 or 7, you could see that he had a real sense of humor. As for others, we had like some strangely named people like Damon Bowden and Matthew Herring, and I don't know why, but those names kind of sound funny to me now. And I think that's a much more natural approach than like, my friends were my peers. And it's just a little bit odd. So for vocab, I still think you have enough range maybe for the 8. If I'm super strict, if I'm in a super bad mood, I might bring it down to 7. You use like vividly, remember, but sometimes the pronunciation doesn't match the vocab that you used. So you were like, oh yeah, there's one thing I remember vividly, that blah blah blah. And it's like, if you use vividly, which is a really strong descriptive adverb, that should match in your pronunciation. And it's one thing that you know, examiners can see what is natural use of the language. Like, if you talk about, oh, that film was absolutely amazing, it doesn't sound like that film was absolutely amazing. I can remember it vividly. So sometimes I still get the impression that, you know, you're an English teacher that's using English strategically at times, but if I was marking now, I'd give the 8, and then for fluency and coherence, that I'd give the 7. I do think that you are a very fluent speaker. You have very good natural fluency. However, some of those questions in part 3 were difficult to follow. At times, it wasn't quite sure exactly whether the answers fully matched the questions, and even if they did match them, they were often like lacking in examples. I think you used the word complacent once. It's like, do you think some people can learn from their mistakes when they get embarrassed? And you say, oh, for some people, yeah, it all boils down to personality, good. But then you said, but other people can be complacent. And I'm thinking, well, what does complacency have to do with it? Really, this question is just asking, like, can you give an example of how a person could be embarrassed and then could become more confident, right? And a nice answer might be something like, oh yeah, you know, if you go on a first date for the first time and you're worried about the clothes that you wear or something like that, and then after you do it like 2 or 3 times, you start to think, well, why was I embarrassed about that before? Nobody cares about, you know, the clothes that I wear. What's important is, you know, the conversations that we have. And so I think people can, you know, really get confident just by living through those embarrassing experiences, realizing that they're not as bad as we thought they were, and they're really not that important. And then afterwards, it gives people a sense that there's nothing to worry about. And I think that's, you know, that's a full, developed, clear, on-point answer. So, you know, you're really good. You're a really, really good English speaker. I definitely think, again, you're better than 7.5. I gave 7.888. I just want to see what people in the chat have given. Before I do that, any comments from you, Rahmatullah, or Rema, sorry. Maybe you have some questions, or maybe you have some other comments about your performance.
No, everything is all right. Like, anyways, like, it's good. Again, that I knew some just areas that I have to work before my exam.
Work?
And yeah, I'll try to
work?
Do my
with a V?
Work.
And that's definitely something. I don't think it's holding your score back too much, but if you're borderline, an examiner might decide, you know, if they're between the 7 and 8, they might go with 7. So the V and the W sound, that's something very concrete that you can go away and be like, okay, I need to understand what my mouth is doing with the W and what it's doing with the V. And then I need to give myself a bunch of sentences with W words and V words, like this person drinks wine and that person drinks whiskey and they went to Venice with a witch or something like this, right? Sentences with was and was in there, and record yourself saying it. It's definitely something that, you know, you can go away and improve immediately. Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, it's all right. As usual, you're given so detailed feedback, which is definitely beneficial for every candidate, probably, because like we Uzbek teachers can't catch such mistakes. For example, I can give such feedback to my students because I myself don't know. Because we're learning the language, so it's just for us difficult. Even when I talk to some band niners, like niners, I mean, they just didn't bring any of these issues to the table. It's only you. That's why I'm really grateful. At least I know what I have to do.
Yeah, being a Band 9 user of English doesn't always mean that a person can give really meaningful, valuable feedback. Of course, it's nice to have the stamp to say Band 9, but it doesn't all... Because I get this a lot, comments from candidates from Uzbekistan who say things like, well, I spoke to a niner and they wouldn't have given this mark 8.0. And it's like... Okay, number one, examiners have difference of opinions all the time. That's fine. And you might even find that an Uzbek niner might give you feedback that's better than mine in some cases, because they might see, oh, you're making this mistake because in Uzbekistan we have this word and you are directly translating it to this, and this is why it doesn't work. So, L1 or native speakers aren't necessarily better advice givers, but, if you find, I would say... get feedback from an examiner in Uzbekistan rather than a niner, because an examiner, that's what they're paid to do, that's what they're trusted to do, that's what they do for work. But of course, if you don't have access to an examiner, then niners can be helpful. But all right, I'm going to press on because I guess there are some other people that want to jump. But really nice to see you again, Rahmatullah. If you do take the IELTS test again, please do let me know what score you get. I really hope you get at least 8 in speaking. If you can get 8.5 in speaking, then getting 9 should be very, very, very achievable overall.
Of course, I'll let you know.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Have a nice evening. Alrighty then, so back to just me. Let's have a look in the chat. This is usually when things get a little bit more active. So let's have a look at what other people said. Somebody said 6.5. No, the candidate is above 6.5. Oh, Hilola Kamilova says 7. 888. We have exactly the same scores. L2 Shot says 7. That's within tolerance. Umar Alimov says 7.5. Oh, quite a lot of people saying 7.5. Some people saying 7, some people saying 9.5. Nice joke, Gleb, if that is you. Boy Mirza says 8888. Yeah, I agree that the fluency is probably at 8, but the coherence for part 3, yeah, I don't think it was at that 8. I can't say that those topics were extended and relevant and developed. Manzolo says, can I? It took the IELTS test today. Can I what? Don't know. Overall, Netchi Berdi. Oh, that's not English. Yeah, some people are typing presumably in Uzbek. Sometimes people in my Telegram chat write things in the Uzbek language, and then I go to Google Translate and I translate them into English, and then I have to ban people from the Telegram channel because some people write horrible things about me. But it's okay. It's the internet. We all know. We all know. Most people are very nice. English language says, can you organize another mock? Yes, we are going to do another mock. I am, though, and I really should have some, background saying, break or something. I am just going to run very quickly to take a very fast toilet break. So don't worry, I haven't gone anywhere. I'll be back in about maybe... ambitiously in about 2 minutes, and then when I get back we will... Oh, let's do it this way. I'll put the call for candidates in the Telegram chat now. I'll put the call for the next candidate in the Telegram chat now, then I will run to the bathroom, and then by the time I come back we should have quite a few candidates available. Cool. Let's see. Okay, let's put this message in. If you are watching the YouTube stream right now and would like to be the second candidate, please reply to this message with me or interested. Please only leave one response. Please only leave one response. So I've put that in the Telegram channel now. Hopefully that will explode. Everyone will leave messages, and then we will find our next candidate. Okay, I'm going to run to the bathroom. I will be back very, very shortly. Okay, hello again, people. It's kind of weird sitting in your room talking on your own as if there's someone there, but yeah, I've been doing this YouTube stuff for a year and a half now. It's becoming a little bit more normal. Okay, nothing really in the chat. Somebody says, oh my god, shame on them, says Crazy Chess World. Crazy Chess World, what do you play? Are you an E4 player or a D4 player? It's a very, very important question. Let's have a look at the Telegram chat. Okay, 22 comments, so fewer this time than previously. All right. Let's just check that we don't have the same person replying multiple times. Okay, cool. Looks like we have one. I always get suspicious when I see names like ZZZ or XYZ or TB or full stop, because that's usually a sign that it's a fake account. But, you know, nothing I can do about it. Maybe it's not. Maybe just people want to be anonymous. Okay, so let's generate the number. We have 13 again. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 12, 13. Minami. Somebody called Minami. I'm going to write to Minami. Somebody called Jay has just written to say me. Unfortunately, you've just missed it. So Minami is the winner this time. Hey, you can join me here. So, Minami is the winner, but as we know, not every winner actually takes their speaking test. So maybe Minami won't join, who knows? But we'll give them 2 minutes and we'll see, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, and we'll see. If they don't show up, then we will go and select another candidate. In the meantime, I'm just going to check the chat to see if there's anything there. Nothing. Interesting. Does it mean either people have stopped watching or people are leaving messages and I just can't see them, or nobody's leaving messages? Oh, we do have a message. Olimchon, I was not here during part 3 in the feedback section, so I just decided to ask gentle people, but I fear it is not you. That must be a side chat that people have. No idea what that means. I can see that Minami is online and has seen, I think. So Minami is online, so hopefully they'll join shortly. Who knows? Cool. I, for myself, really appreciate the informative details you provide to all students for free. Even with all this energy, there are some negative. Yeah, people are negative sometimes, but most people are really, really nice. Most people. But it is difficult doing it for free because people just, don't take it serious because it's free. Anyway, Minami is here, so let's welcome them. I think they're joining any second now. Hello, can you hear me okay? Oh, I can't hear you, unfortunately. Your microphone is muted.
Oh,
Hi, I can hear you now. Is it Nafosat?
yes.
Cool. Firstly, welcome to the channel and thank you for being a brave person to come on and do the speaking test. Can you start just by telling us something about yourself? Like, where are you from and what are your plans regarding this IELTS test?
Hello, my name is Nafasad and I'm from Uzbekistan. And I'm 17 years old and I finished school this year and now I'm planning to apply to international universities and study abroad.
Have you chosen a country to go to?
Yes, I chose Germany and I've been learning German nowadays.
As I know a few people who moved to Germany and they said they needed like A2 or B1 German for some residence permit or something. How do you find learning German? Is it easy, difficult?
It's kind of difficult, but I found it really interesting. So it's not even my first or second language that I've been learning, so it's kind of nowadays easier than before when I started.
Maybe I'm old or crazy, but I hear just a slight bit of Australian in your accent. Do you have any Australian teacher or anything like this?
No, I just really love watching movies. For that, I guess I have some mixed accent.
Yeah, I definitely hear a little bit of American in there, but there's definitely some Australian. I don't know. Maybe I'm going mad. So obviously, the higher the score, the better. What's the minimum score that you need to study in Germany? Is it something like 6.5, or are you hoping for something higher, like 7.5?
I already have 6.5 actually. I got it 6 months ago, but now I'm just planning to get higher because I just really love learning English and I would love to see which score I will get if I will just continue studying English.
So you got 6.5 overall, or was that in the speaking?
Overall, in speaking, I get
Okay.
6.5.
So you got 6.5 in speaking. What did you get for listening, reading, and writing?
For listening, I got 7. For reading, I got 6, I guess. And for writing, I got 6.
Okay, so fairly standard across. A lot of people struggle with the writing part the most, but obviously you did okay in that part. Just listening to you, you feel like, it seems like you're a very confident speaker, and one thing examiners shouldn't do is compare candidates to other people, but I know a lot of people who got 6.5 who seem like they're not as fluent or as confident as you as like in speaking. Can you tell me what you've done with English since that IELTS test? Do you think you've got better at English, or is your level just the same now as it was before?
I think I just didn't even change my speaking. I was like this even before I took my first IELTS, but actually I think I got lower score because I really speak fast. And I think for them it might be real difficult to understand what I was talking about.
All right. And are you the kind of candidate that has like a big strategy with IELTS? Do you sit down and think like, okay, if I get this question, I will do this, or if I get this topic in part 3, I will do this, or do you just forget about it and just like converse?
I don't have any strategies. I just speak and I think that's the key why I'm really confident.
Mhm.
I try to feel the language.
Mhm. Yeah, there definitely seems to be the case that, very, very fluent people sometimes are not so accurate, and then really, really accurate people are not so fluent. Difficult to get both of those. But anyway, let's see then if you've made any improvements on 6.5. Let's see how close you are to 7, or maybe even higher, or maybe even lower. Let's find out. First of all, I just want to check, do you have a pen and piece of paper with you for part 2?
No,
Do you want to get some, or can you get some? Is there any near to you, or no?
not really actually.
Okay, cool. Then you will have 1 minute of preparation time before your part 2, but you won't be able to take any notes unless, I don't know, you can't take any notes. You'll have to do it in your head. And just so you know, when we get to part 2, I'll send the part 2 cue card in the Zoom chat. So you'll be able to see it in the Zoom chat, but don't worry, I'll give you enough time to find that cue card. If I interrupt you during the test, don't worry, that's just so I can stay within my time limits, or maybe if you go off topic, I might interrupt. But really, don't worry, it's not me being rude, it's just me sticking to time limits mostly. Do you have any questions before we start?
No, I don't.
Cool. All right. In that case, best of luck. I'm just going to get my test up, and I think we can start. Okay. Good evening. My name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
My name is Bahadirva Nafasat.
And what should I call you?
Nafasat.
Okay. Thank you. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Where do you live?
I live in Uzbekistan. If I should be more accurate, I would say I live in a small town which is called Urgench. And I've been living here since my birth, and I really love my city because of its people, I guess, because they're really, really hospitable and they're really kind. So
Thank you.
I
And
love it.
is it easy to find fun things to do in this place?
For me, yes. For others, I don't know. I really find that we here have a lot of things to do, like playing games. We have a lot of parks and other places like restaurants and cafes.
Mhm. And does your town get a lot of tourists?
Actually, yes, we have historical buildings here. We have a city, ancient city. It's Hiva, and there we have a lot of visitors and tourists, as there are a lot of attractions there. So I guess yes.
Hmm. Let's move on now and talk about your evenings. What do you usually do in the evening?
I really love reading, so I have a bedtime reading in the evenings. I just try to grab a one book and flick through, or just read some interesting stories from some of my favorite books.
And do you find it easy to relax in the evening?
Um, yes, because in the evenings I don't really rush. I just sit in a relaxing and cozy atmosphere with my books or just cup of tea with chocolate. And I really love my cozy evenings where I can just have my favorite book with me.
And when did you last go out to somewhere special in the evening?
I can't even remember the last time that I just go out in the evenings. I'm the person who really loves staying at home. I don't really want to go out in the evenings. I usually spend them at home.
Mhm. And is it safe to walk in the evenings in your neighborhood?
Yes, we don't have any violence here or even some criminals. Our country or even my city is really quite placed, and we don't we don't face with some difficulties related to the safety.
Let's talk about pets and animals now. Have you ever had a pet?
Yes. I have a lot of pets actually. I have a dog and 4 cats, and I really love them. But I used to be allergic to cats when I was a kid, but I don't know how. But nowadays, I'm really feel good with them. I don't know how it's happened.
And what are the most common pets in your country?
Others, I guess, parrots. Sometimes my friends or other people will adopt parrots as pets in their homes.
And do you like going to the zoo?
Not really. For me, it's really difficult to visit such places as I'm really kind of I will feel stressed when I see some animals in the cages, and that's really scary to just see how they feel. I just try to avoid such feelings or to see how they suffer there.
Hmm. And are you afraid of any animals?
Actually, no. When I was a kid, I used to hate snakes, but nowadays I really love them. And even some scary looking animals nowadays for me feel or just appear really charming.
Okay,
And sometimes I really want to have them.
okay, thank you. Now, in this next part of the test, I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to speak about that topic for 1 to 2 minutes. But before that, you will have 1 minute to prepare for your talk, and you may take notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I will now share the topic in our Zoom chat. Can you see the topic?
Talk about a form of exercise you do.
I'd like you to talk about a form of exercise you do. Your 1 minute of preparation time starts now. Okay, so that's the end of your preparation time. To remind you, you'll have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk, and I will let you know when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Yes. I really want to talk about Pilates. And actually I started doing such kind of exercises a year ago because I really have some problems with my health and weight. I gained it a lot since my school years, and I got I've got plus 7 or 8 kilograms, and I really wanted to lose them. So I started exercising. I exercised a lot, and found some videos on internet and some social platforms like YouTube and TikTok, and the, there were a lot of popular videos about Pilates and other forms of exercises. And I really found it really useful because was not that difficult, like exercise with weight, Because for me as a beginner, it was really difficult. And nowadays, I'm doing it twice or once a week, not that often. And I found it really difficult at the beginning. And I really hated doing sport or even do some stretchings before it. Because as the person who's not really professional in that sphere, sometimes I just hurt myself by doing one or two exercises again and again just to lose weight. And I didn't really kind of pay attention how I should do it. And did I do them right or wrong? I don't know, but I know that sometimes
Okay, thank you. All right, so you've been talking about this exercise Pilates that you do. Let's talk a little more now about exercise and health. Firstly, why is regular exercise important for physical health?
I think they will help our body to just keep the weight in the form to just keep us fit, first of all. And when we do exercises, I guess some people really uh, get some enjoyment and they will just relax by doing that because this not only kind of helps us to be healthy, but also just mentally be healthy. Because when we do exercises, we will just analyze some of our mistakes or even things that we had in our life and help us to organize everything and our thoughts in that process.
And what health problems can result from a lack of exercise?
First of all, I guess the really obvious one is obesity. Because when we don't do exercises enough, we will, and we consume a lot of food, and that will lead to some problems with the weight, and sometimes it's really difficult to get rid of it.
And
That habit, I guess.
do you think people nowadays exercise enough?
I guess yes, because nowadays the majority of people they just walk a lot because we have a lot of opportunities and a lot of fitness places and a lot of tools that we will use just to do some exercises and
What kinds
some
of tools?
I know that we have um I don't know the name of them, the things that just help us to exercise more in that gyms, I guess.
Okay.
And I don't know how.
Let's move on and talk about exercise habits now. What factors influence how often people exercise?
Um, I think the family, I guess, because when our family they're not really do exercises, we will not do that either, because I know that if one person in our family do some exercises, it means that we will just see how they do it and we will be influenced by their actions and we will start doing it too.
Mhm. And do you think it's easier to maintain an exercise routine if you exercise alone, or is it easier if you have other people, like partners?
I think when we have partners, they will just help us to take it really seriously and they will just remind us that we should do it with them and just call us to join them again and again. Because I know that consistency is the key. And when some people doing it regularly, they will just motivate us do it with them.
Why do some people dislike exercising with others?
I think some people have fear of judgment because sometimes when we do exercises, it means that that we would have some problems with our weight, and some people really shy about their weight, and like for me, like I really hate exercising with others because I have a fear inside of me that some people may judge me, and for that reason, I just try to have distance with others from others and do exercise alone.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. So first, congratulations on surviving. I'm just going to ask the chat what they think of your performance first of all. And again, if you have a terrible fear of judgment from others, that's the worst thing I could possibly do right now. But that's okay. I'm just curious to see what they give. So please, chat, give your marks in. Let me know what score you think she deserves for this performance. I'll go to you now. Sorry, just getting your name up. Nafosat. How do you feel about your performance, and how do you feel about the questions that you got?
I think I did really bad because I was really shy, and for me, it's the first time when I speak like this, and it's really unusual to express or just tell my thoughts about these questions because I really had a lot of problems with exercises because
Hmm.
as I mentioned, I used to have problems with my weight, and for me, this seems not the fairest one, and it was really difficult to talk about it.
Yeah, I remember when I first started YouTubing, just speaking in front of a camera, not live. I couldn't do it in one take. I had to stop, and then I had to start again, and then I had to stop and start again because I was misspeaking all the time. So I can't imagine how difficult it must be to come on to a call with a native speaker or L1 user in front of an audience and answer these questions. And if you're like me, once you make one little mistake in your head, your brain starts judging you, and that voice comes and says, "This is terrible. Why did you say that? Stupid, stupid." My brain does that. I don't know if yours does, but it's it's psychologically and emotionally not the easiest thing to deal with. But the thing I always tell candidates is this is good practice for the real test, because in that real test, you'll also feel a lot of pressure, right? You've paid your money. You have one chance. You have your 15 minutes with the examiner to do your test. And so having practice of speaking under pressure can help. What do you think are your biggest strengths as a speaker of English?
Actually, I don't know.
What do you think? You said you like speaking English, right? Do you like, I don't know, do you think your pronunciation is good? Do you think your grammar is good? Do you think you're a fluent speaker? Do you think you know a lot of words? Do you ever have times when you think like, I want to say this, but I don't quite know the word, or something like this?
I guess my pronunciation is better than other sections.
How did you
And
learn your pronunciation, by the way?
oh, I used to watch a lot of movies, and my favorite series was, I guess, Friends, and I just really loved to repeating after them again and again until I found that I was closer to them.
Some people think that like learning pronunciation is just a natural skill. Either you have it or you don't, like music, right? Some people seem to be naturally musical, other people aren't. Do you think pronunciation is like this? Do you think some people like yourself are just lucky that you just hear the sounds and you can repeat them? Because many other people, they don't hear like the sound between words like ship and sheep. They just don't hear those differences. Obviously, you have a quite strong ear for pronunciation, I guess. Do you feel like it was easy for you to learn this pronunciation, or was it something that required a lot of like hard work?
For me, it was really easy as I really love just sitting and just repeating after others because I really love the way English sounds, and I really want to be like native speakers and be like them. As I remember, when I was a kid, I had friends who spoke English, and after them, understood that for learning English, I should know how they just read words. like to be exactly like them. I
Okay.
just try to mirror their facial expressions and how they just pronounce words with emotions.
Yeah, facial expressions are definitely part of that like emotive pronunciation. And you know, Friends is a pretty good place to start with the like standard North American English. But okay, getting into some feedback. So your pronunciation, I think, is your strongest point, right? You do have some typical mistakes of candidates from Uzbekistan, like you say happened instead of happened. You say exercised instead of exercised. Now, about 6 months ago, I did on my Telegram channel, I asked some people to read out this sentence, and the sentences had like all id endings. And I was telling people, don't use id. And even when I was telling people, say happened, say finished, not happened and not finished. But even with that instruction, a lot of people still couldn't correct that mistake. So, you know, those ed endings like finished, finished, exercised, exercised. So you have a couple of minor problems there. I think your pronunciation, though, is at 8. I think your phonology is wonderful. I like the enthusiasm with which you speak. And when you're saying like even criminals and that intonation, it sounds really good. So you definitely have a lot of like really natural features in your pronunciation. Like I say, it's a weird mix between kind of American and Australian. I have no idea where some of the Australian vowel sounds, like I don't know, like I don't know where they come from, but it's weird. And you have, without thinking about it, you have like sustained speech, sustained connected speech. You don't say I don't know, you say I don't know, and that T disappears. So there are lots of aspects of your speech, probably things you don't think about because you just copy it, but it really sounds really natural. So I think band 8 for pronunciation is fair, and it is your strongest point. Your weakest point is probably your grammar. You have quite a lot of basic mistakes, like even with the verb to be, like I don't know if you say I suffer or I'm suffer, or they not really do instead of they don't really do. It's so help our body, or one person do this instead of one person does this. So fairly basic grammatical mistakes, like with present simple, with past simple. I think you said like I don't remember when I go out last time instead of when I went out last time. So we have quite a few of those basic mistakes. Probably I would say you have enough for a 6, because you do use a range of like complex sentences, which is good. I wouldn't be, because of the basic mistakes, I wouldn't be massively surprised if an examiner even gave you 5 for grammar. I think there's enough in there for 6, so I'm awarding 6 for grammar. With your vocab, I think some of it works really well, like like the way you use words like avoid and suffer and consume food and fear of judgment. That's really good. Like you talked about flicking through books. That's really good. I don't know if there's quite enough range for something higher than a 7, though. I think probably it's a 7 for vocab, but you do have aspects of 8-ishness in your vocab. And then for fluency, I have a 7. Again, you're a naturally fairly fluent person. I like the fact that you try to speak at length, you try to keep going. In part 2, I felt like maybe because you couldn't take notes, your turn felt a little bit disorganized. Like after about 50 seconds, I felt like your brain was like, I don't know what to say. And so you just kept adding bits of information, you know, so it was good that you could keep going, but I felt like the organization in part 2 was just a little bit weak. You do have a tendency to like stop in the middle of the sentence. So like sometimes like you're really good at what you want to say, but sometimes in the middle of the sentence that fluency breaks down, and that's that difference between the 7 and the 8 is that a band 7 has frequent mid-sentence breakdowns. You're in the middle of the sentence, you have to pause, you have to think, you go back. Band 8s tend to have fewer of those, and when they do think, the band 8s are usually thinking about ideas, not about words. So I have you as slightly higher than what you got in the real test. Fluency and coherence 7. vocabulary 7, grammar 6, but I could imagine an examiner awarding a 5, but I have you grammar 6 and pronunciation 8. That gives you overall a score of 7.0, which is a little bit higher. If that grammar score is a 5, it pulls you down to 6.5. I'm wondering if you got the breakdown of your score before. When you took IELTS, did you ask them for the breakdown to see what mark you got in each part?
Yes, I got.
Can you tell us what you got? Do you remember?
Yes, pronunciation and fluency, there were 7. And vocab and grammar, there were 6.
Oh, wow. I definitely think your vocab is above a 6. But grammar 6 is good news. It means you do have enough range in there. If you took the IELTS test again, I think you should definitely aim for a 7, because I think you are better than a 6.5. 7 is definitely a realistic target. Could you get a 7.5? In the short term, I don't think so. I think like if you took the test in the next 6 weeks, I don't think you'd get 7.5. If you took the test in 6 months with a bit of practice, definitely getting to 7.5 or even higher is possible. But for the moment, I have you as 7.0, so like the low end of C1, advanced user of English. Well done. The other people... Yeah, other people are giving you 6.5, some people giving you 7. Yeah, so some people giving 7.776. Interstellar Travel says that your weakest part is your pronunciation. I have no idea where that's coming from. Even Gleb Boy Mirza says 6.776. So some people giving you 6 for pronunciation, and I'm here giving you 8 for pronunciation. So who knows what's going on? Your phonology is wonderful. Maybe because of those mid-sentence hesitations, maybe the guys in the chat feel like your stress timing is a little bit off. You know, I could see a justification for 7, but I definitely, I would be very comfortable explaining why I think you deserve an 8 for pronunciation. But that's my feedback. Do you have any comments or any questions for me or anything else before we let you go?
No. Thank you a lot.
Cool. All right. Really nice to meet you, and best of luck with your Pilates, and most importantly, best of luck with German.
Thanks.
All right. See you. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Bye-bye. Well, she's still there. I'm going to have a look at the chat. Naturality is a key. Do we have the word naturality? Maybe we do. Dark Star Envy says, so sweet. Yeah, most of the candidates who come on are kind of sweet and nice and polite. Jahid says 9. It's not a 9. Definitely a strong candidate. Jamshil.Chilov says, please change the tone. I'm not sure if that's advice or request for me or for the candidate. Why is she not able to get 7.5 in 6 weeks of training? I just don't see it as being... Like, to get 7.5, what she'll need is 2 8s and 2 7s. Now, where is she going to get 2 8s? Could she get an 8 for pronunciation? Yes. Could she get an 8 for vocab? Possibly. Do I think her... So then we would need 2 7s. So we would need 7 in fluency and coherence, and we would need 7 in grammar. For me, grammar is the most difficult... Well, it depends on the candidate. But you can't stop those fossilized mistakes. You can't improve your grammatical accuracy in 6 weeks. I just don't think it's possible. The candidate has problems with present simple, with the verb to be, with past simple, with negative auxiliary verbs. These things take time to fix. And I really don't think you can force them. In 6 weeks, no. In 6 months, dedicated grammar work, if she's super motivated, yes. But to get a 7.5, it means she'll need 2 7s. I don't see it. I don't see her getting a 7 in grammar. And if she doesn't get a 7 in grammar, then getting that 7.5 is going to be really tough, because then she will need, 3 8s and a 6. Yeah, Jahid asks, how do I join? Oh, nice to see you again, Jahid. I think we had our speaking test before. Yeah, only through Telegram. The Facebook group just isn't very active, unfortunately. In part 3, can we example in our life, asks Beautiful Girl. We can, but generally, right, and again, I say this as a teacher, not an examiner, Part 1 is personal. Personal questions, all about you. Answer, all about you. Part 3 is impersonal, abstract. Talk about people in general, or young people in general, or older people in general. Try to avoid it if you can. I mean, sometimes we give relevant examples from our own life, and that's absolutely fine as the example. But if the question is something like, what kind of music do people in your country like, we don't want, which is, people in general, or do you think people's music tastes have changed much since the past? We don't want to say things like, well, my music taste has changed because when I was younger, I used to listen to heavier music, but nowadays I listen to more melodic music. We don't want to do that because that's not what the question demands of us. So giving an example, giving a personal example in part 3, 1 or 2 instances is fine, but in general, we want to show the examiner that we can speak about abstract topics and we can talk about people in general, not just talking about ourselves. Jasur asks or says, in part 2, question was talk about the exercise you do, but she always talked about past event. Is it appropriate? I do feel like her part 2 was a little bit weak. She was talking about Pilates, and there was a mix between why she started doing it. So it's relevant to talk about the past there. But she did also speak about what she finds difficult about it, I think. I don't remember all of the details from part 2. She did speak maybe a little bit too much. Maybe you're right, she spoke a little bit too much about the past, maybe a bit too much background information. But for me, the thing that went wrong in part 2 was just the lack of organization. I didn't really see clearly where it was going. I didn't really get a sense of flow. I think overall that it was the fluency and coherence in part 2 was more like a 6, but I think in part 1 and part 3 it was closer to a 7. English language says, do you have time for taking the last mock? Yeah, maybe I do. Will you take other candidates again? Najmuddin, I understand, right? People are looking for that signal. When do I leave? Right? That's what they're looking for. If you're not going to take another one, I'm out of here. I'm going to disappear. If you are going to take another one, I'll stay. I understand that's what people are thinking. I think we have time. I will do one more. Speaking test. But first, before that, I just want to look at the chat and just get through any other questions. What do you think about rumours related to changes in IELTS in 2026? So memes every den. The reason behind these rumours are because YouTube content creators want views, and because we get to see what people are searching for. A lot of people think that content creation is, oh, I have an idea, I'll make this video. In most cases, it's not. In most cases, it's let's see what people are searching for on YouTube, and then, because we know what people are searching for, let's make a video that talks about that. Now, there were rumors that IELTS was changing, and so people were asking YouTube, changes to IELTS in 2026. And so a bunch of YouTubers started making videos, important changes in IELTS in 2026, and that just made the rumors change. No, there aren't, as far as I'm aware, there aren't going to be any meaningful changes. If there are any changes, then, wait for the announcement from Cambridge Assessment, but IELTS is a proficiency test. Even if there are changes, it's not going to make the test more or less difficult. It's, if I was changing the test, there are some parts that I would change about it, just slightly. But yeah, it's even if they do make changes, it's nothing to worry about. Mayank says, I also get 6.5 in speaking, get in the present usually, and almost the same level in grammar and vocabulary and fluency, but I think weak in pronunciation. So can I get 7 in 4 to 6 week? So for me, I can see grammar is a problem for you. I don't see you getting higher than a 6 in grammar. And you're asking me, Mayank, to judge your pronunciation and how close you are to a 7. without listening to your pronunciations. How do I know? I don't know what your speaking is. I will say that some people who get 6.5, they are very, very close to getting a 7. They might get like 6.777. Other people might be at that C1 level but have the wrong strategy and might underperform. So if you're one of those people, fine. But based on the message that you send, I don't think the message sounds like a C1 user of English. I also get 6.5 in speaking, like get in present, and almost the same level in grammar. Yeah, so to me, it doesn't sound like your grammar is at that C1 level. But, you know, could you get a 7? Maybe. Some people do. If you got 6.5, maybe you get a 7. I can't say. I don't know. Lucky Girl asks, what's the point of making change to something which is already correct? Like everything in the world, Lucky Girl, things work in iterations. We get something, and then we think, ooh, people use it, and we get feedback, and we think, well, how can we make that better? Ooh, then people use that new model, and they think, well, how can we make that better? And then we do that. They might also need to update it because, you know, they update the part 1 topics, where maybe you'll get part 1 topics about AI, whereas 5 years ago you wouldn't because the technology didn't exist. Some of the questions become dated. Sometimes we get feedback that, you know, these questions are not particularly suitable for Sikh religious people, and the IELTS test needs to be universal. So there are some cultures where celebrating your birthday isn't normal, so they might decide that they don't want to ask questions about birthdays. So, you know, that's why some of the content of the questions might change. As for the parts, like I remember the Cambridge exams, they underwent a change in about 2013, I think, where, you know, the tests used to be longer and they shortened them, and there used to be a separate reading and use of English, and they turned it into one paper. So it's all about, you know, making slight improvements. Everything can be improved, and, you know, Cambridge Assessment wants to make sure, I hope, that the test accurately reflects people's level as best as it can. People work in Cambridge, they collect that feedback, and they try to make improvements where possible. It's like anything. What can you advise if I have a speaking exam tomorrow? I mean, some people say take a rest before the exam. Some say you have to put extra pressure on yourself. I can only answer for myself. So if I was answering for myself, I would say I need to make sure that I get enough sleep, and I need to make sure that I have maybe I drink a cup of coffee, because I perform better when I drink coffee in the morning. As for you, Jasur, I don't know you. I don't know what you're motivated by. Maybe you perform well under pressure. Maybe you perform well when you're relaxed. Maybe when you're too relaxed, you speak too slowly. Or maybe when you're under pressure, you feel this motivation. You're asking me, Jasur, to give advice to someone who I don't know about a personal psychological thing. The only tips I would say is stay hydrated, sleep enough, and for me, I would, you know, stay caffeinated. Can my opinion about the topic affect my overall band score? If it's off topic, you know, if it's a simple question like, what do you like most, cats or dogs? Or what do you think are better pets, cats or dogs? And you say, I really like rock music, you know, that's going to affect it. But if I like cats and you like dogs, if you say you like dogs because you think dogs are more independent than cats, which I think is objectively false, still, I would not judge you. I would not judge your language based on the opinion that you have. Sometimes people don't go deep enough into justifying their opinion, and that's the thing that you should focus more on. Not what the opinion is, but how well do you justify it, right? Some people say, okay, why do you like why do you like horror movies? And people say, oh, I really like horror movies. Horror movies are the best because horror movies are really interesting. And I always think that the actors perform really well in horror movies. And it's like, yeah, but you haven't told me what you like. You've said that actors perform well, but it's not detailed. You've said that horror movies are interesting, but it's not detailed. Detailed is like, you know, like I really love this feeling of watching a horror movie because, you know, at the same time, you're terrified. You think like there's a ghost or there's a vampire or a zombie or whatever, and they're going to come and they're going to murder you or suck your blood. And then your heart starts racing. But at the same time, you know it's a completely controlled and safe environment. So I really like that idea of like flirting with the danger, but at the same time being in a safe, comfortable space. That's a detailed, developed answer, and it's informative. And so that's what you need to worry about. Not, is my opinion the correct one, but have I explained my opinion clearly? And if I want to get band 8, band 9, have I gone into enough detail? You know, and think about the words that I used there, to suck your blood or to stab you or to be in a safe space. The vocab, if you're at the level, once you go deeper into topics and you start being more detailed, that's when hopefully the higher marks come. For example, if the guy is racist or something, yeah, don't be racist. In general, don't be racist. In general, don't be racist. I'm not on YouTube to spread that message. But even if you are racist or homophobic or something which is, you know, again, maybe you disagree with modern feminism, for example, I would just say don't take any risks. The IELTS speaking test will not provoke you, hopefully, into talking about race and sexuality and things like this. So it's very, very, very easy to avoid. Okay, Javohir, you are one message away from timeout. Okay, you are on timeout, my friend, because you are spamming the chat. So put user in timeout. I'm going to put you on timeout for 5 minutes. So for 5 minutes, Javohir, you won't be able to send any messages, but after 5 minutes, you will. Please stop spamming the chat by saying bro, 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 bro. All right. Let's just read that again. For example, if the guy is racist or something, but speaking is 10 out of 10, is he going to get a bad score? The examiner might feel that it is malpractice, and if it is malpractice, you can get a score of 0. I've been in situations where I've seen situations where a candidate swore and they were absolutely fine. The examiner didn't mind. The examiner let it slide. I've also been in situations where the candidate has used such bad language that the other examiner decided, you know what, this is malpractice. This is breaking the rules. I'm not putting up with this test. I've been in that situation myself, testing someone where I decided, nope, sorry, too much sexism for me. A little bit of sexism, okay, I can understand, but when you're overtly rude and offensive, then, you know, that's the end of the test. Sorry, buddy. So yeah, even if your speaking is 10 out of 10, if it's malpractice, if you break the rules, if you're overly offensive or obscene, then yeah, you're not going to get your high mark. So, you know, same as a job interview, right? If you go into a job interview and you have all the skills, but you're super rude, then yeah. Okay, anyway, let's get to our last speaking test. So I'm going to put the message in the Telegram chat now. Okay. Okay, let's copy. So let's put this in. If you're watching the YouTube stream right now and would like to be the third candidate, please reply to this message with me or interested. Please leave only one message. Memes Every Den says, can we ask for bathroom during the speaking test? No, go. I mean, again, if you desperately, urgently need it, so in some test centers you might be allowed, in other test centers they might not. Different test centers might have different policies about this. This is really an administrative question. It's not a question for an examiner. Examiners judge your speaking and writing. That's all they do. They don't touch your reading, they don't touch your listening. Whether you need a toilet, I mean, go it's such an odd question. Just, if you need to pee, go to pee before the test. If you're urgent, I don't think, from a human level, I don't think the examiner is going to make you sit there if you desperately need to pee. Anyway, I put that message in Telegram. People are still replying to the old message, which is weird, but okay. So yeah, if you're watching the YouTube stream right now and would like to be the third candidate, please reply to this message with me or interested. Please only leave one response. Cool. Me please, says some people. Again, please is nice, it's polite, but we don't need it because it's random. Just me. Interested, me. Let's have a look. So I'll give it just a few minutes for those ones to come rolling in. Again, we have sometimes we have candidates on Telegram who just have a name which is a full stop. I don't take those candidates because in the past, people whose name is just a full stop are usually cheaters. They are posting from multiple accounts. Jashal's Realm, I've seen his name a few times. Have I tested him before? Not sure. Jashal's Realm 9.0. I don't know why the Niners want to have the speaking test with me. I don't know if it's to show their students or what. Maybe it's useful. I always think, it's better to give the chance. If I could choose, I would only really give tests to people between band 6 and band 7, because I think those are the ones that really benefit from the feedback the most. But okay. But of course, everyone has an equal right. Everyone has an equal right to these free speaking tests, so it will be purely democratic. Commentator says no. I guess that's Jashal's Realm person, but I have seen that name a few times floating around. We have a few people who've put their names in. 22 in total. So I'll check in a moment. Maybe they don't have 9 for speaking. Yeah, that's true. There are so many people who are on like 8.5 and they want to get the 9, and it's brutal. It's brutal. I've had some people, like, quite a lot actually. I've had people who have paid speaking tests and they have it done privately, and I give them like 8.5, and they say they desperately need the 9, and they come back and they say, can I pay for another speaking test? My response is always like, you don't need to pay for another speaking test. The feedback's going to be the same. Watch the feedback, understand where your weaknesses are, try to make those improvements. But getting a band 9 is crazy tough. It's crazy tough, because you have to get 9999. 9999. Really difficult to do. Examiners, for their own safety, generally don't like giving 9. It doesn't happen very often. Out of 100, 120 candidates that I've had on my YouTube channel, not including L1 users, I've given a 9 twice to Brian, who I consider to be an L1 user. He spent time in Canada. He's from the Philippines. To me, he's an L1 user. I don't know if he considers himself to be an L1 user. And Shukufa, who's from living in Belarus, that one I gave a band 9 to. There was one recently, Dilara, who I felt, definitely could be a band 9. Arena on the channel recently definitely could be a band 9. And Masha, who was like, I think I gave 8.0, but probably deserves, maybe, she should be aiming for 8.5 or even higher. So getting a band 9 is incredibly difficult, and people always ask me for advice. What can I do to go from 8.5 to 9? It's like, well, not much. I would say the best thing you can do if you're on 8.5 and you want to get a band 9 is absolutely forget about IELTS, because when you are stuck in this IELTS bubble, you start analysing everything through the lens of IELTS, and your speech just becomes so mechanically strategized to IELTS, which has a negative effect on your speech, not a positive effect. You lose that natural flow of your speech because you're over prepared, right? Oh, what kind of music do you like? We're just looking for, I really like rock music. I don't mind a bit of pop, but yeah, my favorite is rock music. Like, if I think about like the music I listen to, yeah, probably is rock. That's natural. And we get all of these people who are stuck on 8.5s, like, what kind of music do you like? Oh, that is a very interesting question, and I'm very glad that you've asked me about the theme of music, because music is something that can move the soul in ways that many other forms of art simply cannot. However, if I am to speak about the music that I personally prefer, I would have to go with jazz, because I am a huge fan and enormously keen on the irregular beats and rhythms and time signatures. And it's like, okay, your English is amazing, but my goodness, you are weird. And that's what people get stuck in. They get stuck in that IELTS bubble. And so if you want to go from 8.5 to a 9, forget about IELTS. Go away. Go and do things. Go and do challenging things with English for 6 months and then take the test. Marat asks, is it a good idea to practice by watching IELTS speaking videos? For example, listen to an examiner's question first, pause, try to answer the question, then listen to a candidate's answer. Yeah, I think that is a really good approach. And especially doing it with someone, if you're a band 6 and you're doing it with someone who has a band 9, I would say no, don't do that. If you're a band 6 and you have a goal to get 6.5 or 7, then do that with someone who has your target goal, 6.5, 6.7, a realistic target goal. But importantly, analyze your answer and their answer and understand what they can do that you can't do, or that they do that you don't do. That's I think that is a decent approach. Anyway, it's time to pick a candidate. Okay, let's pick a number again. We have 23 again. Let's just make sure that there are not people cheating. Okay, 23, random number generator time. And please don't be 13 again, because it's been 13 twice in a row now. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to open 16. So let's see who number 16 is. Who is the lucky winner? I'm sure everyone's counting. 1, 2, 10. It is Diorbek, and I know there's a famous Diorbek, isn't there? Isn't there a famous YouTuber Diorbek? Anyway, Diorbek Olimov, that is the person, not superstar Diorbek, but I'm sure he's a superstar in his own right. I'm going to send the Zoom link to Diorbek right now. And we will have our final candidate. There will be an opportunity to ask any other questions after Diorbek's test, but hey, you can join me here. Let's see if Diorbek takes his chance. And I need to make sure that I have the third test up. Yeah, great. I do. Great. So let's see if we do get a Diorbek. Oh, sorry, it's fallen silent. I've forgotten that it's my responsibility to keep talking. I don't know how many people are watching now, but I imagine that because it's the last test, everyone's disappeared. That's my guess. Let's have a look. Diorbek says that he will join. I'm just checking again, because I can't see how many people are viewing on my side here, because I'm a bit of a noob. Guess it's not that many. Oh, we still have 24. That's quite impressive. I do get the stats afterwards. I'm always interested to see the stats, to see the peak viewers, how many viewers were watching at peak during the live stream. It's rarely almost never more than 30. But we do have a Djorbek, so let's invite him in and we'll start our third speaking test. Hello.
Really? Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Pretty good. I can just hear the live stream, I think, in the background. So if you have the live stream on, can you just mute it or close that window?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
For sure.
Nice to meet you. You're the first Djorbek I've met. As I understand, there are a few Djorbeks in this Uzbek IELTS world, right?
Yeah, in Uzbekistan we have like Niner. His name is Djorbek. Yeah.
Cool. So I guess that means you're from Uzbekistan too?
yeah, I am.
And I saw that you have your own Telegram channel. Is that right?
Yeah, I have my own
What do you
channel. Yeah.
What do you do on this channel?
I conduct some lessons because I personally got 8 overall band score, and I took my exam today, exactly today, and my speaking exam is today. Yeah, and I want to make sure whether I deserve this 7.5 or 8 or not, and that's why I'm taking the test because I don't know about my score in the real exam, and that's why let's put it in the test.
Yeah, I make the point many times to different candidates that examiners are different, right? And I often compare it to like a boxing match where you have 3 judges and sometimes they get the scores a bit different. Sometimes they get the scores very different. So I might give you 1 mark, an examiner might give you a different mark. My mark might be higher, my mark might be lower. It depends on a number of factors. Marking, speaking is always, slightly subjective. One thing we do know is that if we have 100 tests, about 90 of them will have the same or very, very similar scores. But there are sometimes candidates that can be very, very difficult to mark because they, in some parts of the test, they show like band 9 grammar range and then they have like accuracy of a band 5 and you think, well, how did that happen? How did you use all of these like strange complex structures but then you lose control over past simple or something like this? So sometimes it can be difficult to judge, but usually I don't think it's a very difficult job to judge people speaking. Most people can do that, right? You can probably do that too with your students. You probably know if your students are closer to C1 or B1, right? You see that yourself. How do you prepare for IELTS? What kind of things do you do to prepare?
Actually, I really quite love the intervention of AI to my preparation because it is a tool that I can easily use for improving my speaking because these days I have this access to the premium version of it and I can easily like record myself and see if I'm doing well or not, and this AI can give me the proper feedback and I can just work on them. I think everything is going to work out after all.
Yeah, I think ChatGPT in particular is an amazing tool for language learners, and there's a lot of stuff that it can do. One thing that it still can't do, unfortunately, is to give reliable scores. Like I've never got, I think, like more than 7.5 or 8 with ChatGPT. Just never, not once.
I always go for the feedback. I mean, I need this constructive feedback, and I just after getting this feedback, and I'll go for working on my minor steps or something, and then I'll not go for this like band score that ChatGPT is going to give me because it's going to be like unreliable after all. Because I also took took part in some course and attended them and ended up getting this 8. And that's why I think my teacher said that just relying too much on the like ChatGPT cannot just improve your speaking, but you can work on your mistakes after learning about them.
Yeah, it should pick up on your grammar mistakes, I would hope. But the one limitation that it has is that very often when you're speaking, what ChatGPT does when you're speaking is it takes the words that you say and it translates them into text, into written text. And when it does this, it automatically corrects the grammar mistakes and pronunciation mistakes that you make because it's trying to make sense. And then the feedback that it gives you is based on that written transcription of what you've said. So it can't do anything with pronunciation. And I don't even know if it can do stuff with with grammar that much. I should test it actually with grammar, but we'll see. But anyway, let's not turn this into a whole chat about ChatGPT. I agree, it's a wonderfully amazing tool, but with, like every tool, we should be careful about its limitations. Obviously, you're very familiar with the form of the test. Any questions about the test before we start?
No, everything's clear.
Cool. Do you have a pen and piece of paper to take notes during part 2?
I think, yeah. Yeah, I have.
Cool. And just so you know, when we get to part 2, I'll share the part 2 topic with you in the Zoom chat. So it won't be a screen share, because when I'm streaming, I can't do it as a screen share. But when it comes to part 2, it'll be in the Zoom chat, but I'll give you an extra few seconds to find it if you need it. But yeah, all right, let's start. Best of luck to you. Let's go. All right, good evening. My name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
My name is Olim Durbek. I go by Durbek.
Great. Thank you, Durbek. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Do you work or do you study?
Currently, I do both. I'm just starting at the university, which is called World Languages University, and while I'm working in the Learning Center as a teacher.
And what do you study at university?
I study English. I study in the Faculty of English Philology, and I learn about the basics and also some foundations of English. Yeah.
And why did you decide to study English?
Actually, it is somehow a gateway for getting the information these days. I can easily access for a lot of information, and it is kind of more achievable than other subjects, I think. And that's why I use it as a key.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything you don't particularly enjoy about your studies?
I think it is the effort that I have to put in, because I always struggle with sitting in one place and doing and studying like for a while. Let's say in one go, I need to study like 5 to 6 hours for getting down everything. Yeah.
Now let's talk about transportation. What kind of transportation do you use most often?
These days I rely on public transportation because actually I'm also a student and I need to be self-sufficient. Yeah, I use buses and trains somehow.
And what's the longest train or bus journey you've been on?
It was like 2 months ago when I had to go to my hometown again, and then I just used taxi, actually, not bus or train, but it was pretty long journey, I say.
Mm-hmm. And what improvements in transportation would you like to see in your town?
I think it'd be the comfortability of it because there are so many people who always go for using the public transportation, and that's the main reason it's really crowded in the peak hours. Yeah, that is the thing that I like to see in the future. One change, yeah.
Have you ever flown on an aeroplane?
Not actually, but if I had a chance, I'd try it out because it is somehow really interesting for me. And yeah, I'll go for it in the future.
Now let's talk about stress and relaxation. Are you often stressed?
I think I tend to be stressed because every single day I go for teaching my own students and they are sometimes annoying. And yeah,
And what kinds of things help you to calm down?
I just grab a cup of coffee and go for drinking it and having just looking at my Instagram and scrolling on the Instagram and seeing some reels, which is kind of more important for just relieving the stress that I have.
And have you ever tried something like meditation or yoga?
Actually, I'm not that much interested in that, but if I'd go for it, like in coming 3 or 4 months, I have this desire because I think I'm putting much pressure on my brain, and that's why I need to go for trying them out. Yeah, but not haven't I? I haven't tried it yet.
And do you have any friends who get stressed easily?
My friend Shokrus, who is my closest friend, and who always get like really stressed, really stressed. I don't know why. Because of maybe his work and work pressure and starting. That's the reasons. That are the reasons why he got stressed, I think.
Okay, thank you. Now, in this next part of the test, I'm going to give you a topic, and I would like you to speak about this topic for 1 to 2 minutes. But before that, you'll have 1 minute to prepare for your talk, and you may take notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Gotcha.
I will now share the topic in our Zoom chat. Can you see the topic?
Just a second. Yeah. Describe a website or app you often use. Yeah.
I'd like you to describe a website or app you often use. Your 1 minute of preparation time starts now.
I'm ready.
You have 15 seconds more.
Okay.
All right, so that's the end of your preparation time. To remind you, you'll have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk, and I will let you know when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
I'd like to talk about an app that I recently I wanted to try it out for the first time. It is named like One Feet. In Uzbekistan, it is kind of really common and it's getting viral. I don't know why, because people are really in need of exercise and I mean exercising, and they always go for just searching for something that they can rely on and go for finding information about like proper place and areas to go for exercising. And I think that's why this platform is really well known in Uzbekistan. And I actually decided to try it out for the first time, and I found it really like interesting and complicating at the same time. Because there were a lot of functions, multiple functions that I had to learn about, and I wasn't that much sure about if this like app is good or not. And after trying out for the first time, and I just got information about the precise location of the gyms, and then I got this membership for the gym, and it was kind of quite straightforward process, and got it took me like 15 or 20 minutes to get this information about the gym. And then actually I started using it from this time on. And since then, I'm using it for searching for precise locations of gyms and like some amenities that we have in Uzbekistan. Because actually, I'm not that much familiar with the places that I can go for like for exercising or staying in shape, and that's why I think this platform is kind of really helpful in this regard.
Okay, thank you. All right, so you've been talking about this app that you use that helps you to find the precise location of gyms. Let's talk a little more about everyday use of technology now. Why do people rely so much on websites and apps in their daily lives?
I think these days there are so many like demands for technology. I mean, people are really in need of finding something really like valuable for them, and that's why they can easily find this information at the touch of a button. And that's the main reason maybe people go for using some piece of technologies like their gadgets, and also social media platforms and like apps, special apps like uh, particularly like social media platforms, like I just said, and they are going to give them this opportunity to find about like the information that they are looking for or searching for. Yeah.
And which apps specifically are most useful for our everyday tasks?
I think I've recently uploaded one app. It is like it's called Money Manager, and there are a lot of functions that you can find easily like really valuable for daily tasks, because every single day I need to run like multiple errands, and that's why I always go for taking notes of um to what sphere or to which section I used a lot of my money, let's say, and then it's going to show me how much money I spent for on this kind of like on this kind of sections. Yeah.
Mm. And do you think people usually use technology more at work or in their free time?
think I think both are practical, because people are actually getting accustomed to use and the technology on a daily basis. The intervention of technology is the most significant thing to make their tasks easier, and that's why they too much rely on the technology at work and also in their free time, because it can give them a chance to go for exploring something new whenever they are free, or at work they can easily do average tasks on time, and like yeah, within like 10 or 15 minutes.
Let's talk a bit more about the convenience of apps now. Do apps always make life more convenient?
um I do think so, because these days applications are everywhere, and we can easily find them just searching for the names of them, and they can be really kind of functional, that we can go for just finding a specific information, a bit of information that we need, and that's why I find it quite like valuable and also important for our day. And yeah, I think yeah.
And can you think of any disadvantages of having too much convenience?
I think yeah, people actually are getting accustomed to using this technology pieces, and they are just going for using it for everything. Whatever they do, whatever they go, they use it, and that's why I think they are getting like somehow they are getting this. They're getting into bush, and they are just wasting their time for doing nonsense, because people these days are lacking this ability to kind of manage their time because of these technologies, I think.
Coming back to websites, some people think that we won't have websites in the future because they think, we'll be using apps for everything. What do you think? Do you think we'll have websites in the future?
um I'd say yes, in some regards, because there are some websites that we can like replicate, and also, I mean, that we can easily go for finding an alternative, and
Which
that's
ones?
why I'd say these are like language-based ones. People are actually getting some a bit of information about the about language learning process, and they are kind of finding it's really useful,
Why can't
and
this
they're
be
not.
made into an app?
Sorry.
Why can't this be made into an app?
Um, I think um, apps can be kind of quite simpler to use than the websites, and I think in some regards websites can be also useful because the interface of it is quite kind of user friendly, but for applications it is the functions that we can find useful and that can give them advantage.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. All right, so I'm going to go to congratulations on surviving, first of all. I'm going to go to the chat just to ask them what they think of the performance, just, to give a band score. You mentioned before the test, if you were wondering, are you closer to a 7.5 or to an 8? Now, of course, we know from day to day, from examiner to examiner, from set of questions A to set of questions B, our performance can fluctuate. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. How did you feel about your performance in this test?
Actually, my mind is mixed up. I don't know. I can't just come up with new ideas, and right now, and that's why maybe that's the main reason I got into Bush in part 3, specifically.
Got into Bush?
Yeah, somehow I got off topic. I mean,
I don't know what got into Bush means. Maybe it's a misfiring idiom or something. All right. Thinking about the topics that you had in general then. So in part 1, you had to talk about your studies, studying English, transportation, stress and relaxation. Then in part 2, you had to talk about a website or app that you use. And then we had a bit of a discussion about, apps, websites and convenience. Which of the topics or which of the questions did you find most challenging, and which ones do you think you did well?
In part 1?
Throughout all the test.
I think part 3 was the difficult part for me, because actually right now my brain is not braining, I'd say, and I'm really tired. Maybe that's the reason I couldn't come up with ideas, like I just said, and I just tried to survive in part 3. Yeah, like you just said, yeah.
Yeah, I got that sense a little bit towards the end of part 2 too, that you were just, like you say, just trying to survive, just trying to say anything. Let's just go back to some of those questions and just forgetting about IELTS, right? So, coming to apps, do you think there are any websites that can't be made into an app? Because we have nowadays apps, we have ChatGPT, right? And ChatGPT is quite a complex thing, but it's an app. YouTube is quite a complex thing, and it's an app. Do you really think that language learning websites can't be made into an app? And if so, can you give me an example of some of those language learning websites?
I'd say they can be integrated into the application.
Cool. So
Yeah.
why did you say they can't?
Yeah, I made a mistake in that case. I just tried to survive, and that's why I needed to say something, and I needed some ideas.
Do you think you'll be punished for changing your mind?
I don't know.
The natural thing to do is to change your mind there, right? So if I were in your situation and someone said, well, can you give an example? And I gave the language, and then I said, oh, there's the language learning app like italki or something. And then if the examiner said, well, why can't that be changed into an app? And I think in your brain, you were probably thinking, well, maybe it can, and I need to find a reason why it can't. Whereas a natural response would have been, yeah, now I think about it, actually, a lot of apps are complicated. So even stuff with language learning, I know there's this Busu app, and there are lots of language learning apps. So yeah, on reflection, yeah, maybe it is the case that all websites could be turned into apps. I really don't know. Right? You might. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to be a human, just like what you did after the test when I asked you that, and you said, actually, yeah, I think they probably could be made into apps. That's what you should have said in the test, right? Yeah. That's what you should have done. Just because my tone is friendlier after the test, it's perfectly okay to change your mind, and it's perfectly okay to concede a point. And the problem when I'm examining live, right, when I feel like candidates are just trying to survive and just throwing points out there that sound a little bit sus, that's when I go, okay, let's see if you can justify this. Because we don't want to feel like in a natural discussion, you shouldn't feel like you're being gamed by somebody. You should just feel like a person is expressing their views. And sometimes our views are not 100% definite. Sometimes we're not sure about things. And so if you get a question like, do people use technology more for work or leisure? You go, well, I don't know. I suppose it depends on the people, because, a lot of people nowadays like to do like outdoorsy stuff, right? So when they're going camping and things like this, I guess, they don't use technology that much, although, they do use like tracking apps and things like this. So yeah, honestly, I think apps are, and technology is everywhere now. I think it doesn't make a difference whether you're at home, whether you're at the workplace, whether you're outdoors running or sitting at home and playing video games. We are constantly connected to the internet, so it makes no. And this is a human response. And I felt like in many parts of the test, you were trying to lock on to an idea or an opinion that didn't really feel like yours, but you're just like, okay, let me say that, and then I will try to find reason number one, and then I will try to find an example. And it really felt like you were struggling a little bit. I do feel.
Yeah.
Like you could have relaxed a bit more. I noticed like you're jumping up and down. You're like, yeah. And it's like, okay, you won't be punished for this. It's okay, but sometimes it can, it is written in the fluency band descriptors about extending and speaking at length without noticeable effort. And sometimes when our body language is doing this, it might suggest that there's noticeable effort. I definitely think for fluency, your fluency is strong. Coherence in part 3 is a little bit weak, but I think you probably have enough for a 7 for fluency and coherence. A lot of your vocab is good, but I do feel like when I asked why you were studying English and you said English was a gateway to information, it sounds, a gateway to information sounds kind of nice, but again, it doesn't sound the most natural type of answer. Some of your language seems a little bit formal, like I have this desire instead of like I want to do it. Like I don't have one friend in the UK who's ever said I have this desire like, in an informal personal conversation. So sometimes it feels like because you're trying to activate vocab, that you're taking a lot of risks, and sometimes it sounds weird. You use the word comfortability, which I loved. I don't think it's a real word, but I love that creative use of comfortability. So I would definitely like that. You used go for a lot, like to go for yoga or to go for this app. And I wasn't quite sure what go for meant. I know a lot of people think go for is an absolute synonym of choose, and it's not. It is a bit different. You said you uploaded an app, and I think you mean you downloaded an app, but okay, it's a little slip. Sometimes you repeated bits of language, like getting accustomed to doing something. I think you used this back to back like 2 or 3 times, and so it may indicate a little lack of flexibility. I could definitely see an examiner awarding 7. I could definitely see an examiner maybe awarding 8 for vocab, maybe. If I was awarding right now, I would probably go for the 8 for vocab. And I think for grammar, you're really good with grammar. You have a lot of accurate sentences, but you do have a problem. You do have a systematic problem, and that's using like that much before adjectives. I'm not that much familiar, or it's not that much good, or I'm not that much interested. And it sounds odd. We usually use that much with uncountable nouns, right? So I don't have that much free time. I don't have that much energy. If it's with an adjective, just use that. I'm not that interested. I'm not that familiar with. It's not that good. And so for me, that seems like a systematic error in the grammar. I think you have enough. There is grammatically you should be aiming for an 8. I don't think you're at 9 level. You should be aiming for an 8, but with that systematic error, for me, it pulls it down to a 7. Your pronunciation's good. Like many candidates from Uzbekistan, you have slight problems with id, like you say accustomed instead of accustomed. Sometimes your stress timing is a little bit off. You say like they are in need of exercise instead of they're in need of exercise. That might be because you're a teacher. Teachers tend to overpronounce their pronunciations, the pronunciation of prepositions, because they want their students to hear them, right? In need of, you get your students to repeat in need of, but when you speak, you're overpronouncing some of your prepositions, which does affect your stress timing. Probably, maybe I would go with 8 with pronunciation, and that would put you at 7.5. If an examiner gave 7 for pronunciation, I wouldn't be massively surprised. So I think, you know, this performance, I think you're probably better than this performance. This performance, I've given 7.5. I could see a justification for a 7.0, but I can't see a justification for an 8.0. So 7.5 for me, but like maybe 7.0, but probably 7.5. But I do think that you are better than this, and I do see enough in your language that if you can be more human, if you can control that one little grammar mistake that you make, maybe try to relax and try to slow your speech down a little bit and stop trying to lock on and hack the IELTS test and just respond in a more natural way. It's easier said than done, but I definitely see potential to get 8 and even 8.5 within, 4 months. I would not be surprised if within 4 months you got 8.5. But at the moment, for me, this performance is 7.5. I think your strategy of like overloading with impressive vocab isn't working that well. But I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Some people in the chat are saying 8. Some people are saying 7.5. Some people are saying 7. One person says 6.5. I think, I don't think it's 6.5. Somebody says, Glyn, headphones are so distracting while speaking. I wish there weren't any headphones.
I don't think it is. It's not that much like affecting your voice quality.
Yeah,
Everything
I
is
mean,
good.
it shouldn't affect the voice quality at all because I have the mic, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know what they're talking about. So yeah, most people in the chat agree 7, 7.5, 8. So one person said 6.5. It's not 6.5. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts or any comments on the feedback that I've given or on your performance? Any other comments?
I think it's pretty solid. I mean, your feedback is constructive. I've learned a lot, and I'll put all of the I'll just work on all of my mistakes, I think, in the long run, because I'll be taking the exam after like 4 months. I'll be sitting in the
Ooh.
exam. Yeah, and that's why, like you just said, in 4 months, and maybe I'd go for this 8.5. Yeah, but I don't know.
All right. Well, let me know. I mean, when you take the test for real, even if it's in 4 months, hopefully you'll remember me and you'll let me know what you got.
Actually, I got the 7.5 for my speaking, like 20 or 25 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, great that you showed me. I know that your level is there. I mean, I'm not surprised. I think you can do better than 7.5.
And that's why I was hoping for like 8 in the real exam. And I don't know. Right now, it is like 7 or 7.5. I'm pretty sure about it.
How do you feel about the performance in today's test, the real test that you took today? Do you feel like you were better than this, or do you feel it was much the same?
I was better than this, of course, because my mind, I put my mind at ease, and I tried to be like more human in the real exam. And right now, actually, I tried to force myself to speak because I wanted to stop practicing IELTS from now on after taking the exam, and that's why maybe that's the reason why I just couldn't manage to speak in this way. I mean, like we can score 8 or 8.5.
Well, let me know what score you get from this one too. You should get your results in a couple of days, right?
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
All right, really nice to meet you, and best of luck for your future IELTSing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Bye-bye. All right, I'm going to go into the chat and see if we have anything there. In the peak hours, probably fine during peak hours. I don't like during, but yeah. And I would say like in rush hour, not during the peak hours, but in rush hour, probably. Peak hours, I don't know, but traffic peak hours for maybe, some entertainment complexes or something. Yeah, Murat says, headphones are so distracting while speaking. I wish there weren't any headphones. Are you distracted by my headphones, or do you mean when you're using headphones? I'm not sure what you mean there, because I don't think my headphones are too distracting, are they? I think that's weird. Let's see. Fluency 7 says English language. Yeah, I think I gave 7. Band 7.5 at most says Behruzilhomov. Yeah, I agree. 7.5, possibly 7.0, maybe. Mirza says, take a test from me. Take a test from me. That's the way to get things what you want in life, people. If you ever want something for free, what you shouldn't do is say, I'm terribly sorry, but would it be possible for us to arrange something at a time that's convenient for you? Don't do that. If you really want something, if you want a speaking test, go to my live stream and say, take a test with me now. That's definitely the best thing to get, best way to get something. How did you consider his pronunciation as 7? Because the band descriptors say, right, I'll read out what the band descriptors say if you want. IELTS speaking, band descriptors. So, for a band 6, basically we just want to know, we just want to understand you generally. For a band 7, you should have some features of band 8 and some feature on all of the positive features of band 6. So positive features of band 6 are uses a range of phonological features. Yes. Chunking is generally appropriate. With this candidate, chunking is like we put words like a lot of together. We don't say a lot of, but we say a lot of. It doesn't mean that it's always perfect. You know, in need of exercise was a little bit of strange chunking, but chunking is generally appropriate. Yes. Some effective use of intonation and stress. Yes. If you think he had no effective use of intonation and stress, then you're mad. Those are the positive features and can generally be understood. So all we need to get band 7 in pronunciation is one positive feature from band 8, and accent has minimal effect on intelligibility. Yes, the accent doesn't block how understandable he is, can be easily understood throughout. The candidate can be easily understood. There's not enormous strain. I don't have to listen really attentively to understand what the candidate is saying. He doesn't have all of the features because for me, he didn't sustain appropriate rhythm and didn't have flexible use of stress, especially across long turns. So not enough sustaining of rhythm and stress and intonation, but definitely the positive features of 6 and the intelligibility of an 8, and that means band 7 for pronunciation. Okay, sir, Alan, you can call me Glyn, please not sir. I don't like sir. Sir, I was wondering if all examiners would like to hear informal casual talk. I mean, is this that bad if you use desire instead of want? No, but it can be the difference between an 8 and a 9. Like band 8 in fluency and coherence talks about situationally appropriate language, right? And so when you're talking about yourself and your interest and your free time, that requires, you know, not super informal casual, but it requires like neutral informal, right? So if we think about language register, on the lowest end we have slang. Hey, what's up, bro? Don't do this. Neutral, hello. And then you have something which is just slightly neutral, informal. Hi, how are you? Everything okay? That's what we're looking for in part 1, right? That's the situationally appropriate register language that we're expecting in part 1. When we talk about our interests and our free time and what time we usually wake up, we don't use lexically dense terms. We don't use a lot of like super hard, cold scientific nouns like necessity. We don't, that's not the way we speak, right? Oh, I usually awaken upon dawn due to the necessity of my job going. Okay, it's accurate, it shows nice range, but it's situationally weird. And so I'm not saying by itself it's wrong to say have a desire to do something. I'm just saying that there were instances, and have a desire to do something was one of those instances, where the language just felt a little bit, you know, not the most natural stuff. We're looking for natural language use. And natural language use when we're talking about our friends, our free time, our hobbies, it tends to be, you know, neutral, but on the informal side of neutral. Can I use something like gonna wanna? Yep, gonna wanna is really, really good and easy way of demonstrating some connected speech, because we don't say going to, we connect it with gonna. This is, I always get confused between that assimilation and accommodation. Yeah, but yeah, it's connected speech. Gonna and wanna, good. Did you give him 8 in grammar? No, I gave him 7 in grammar. I gave him 7 in grammar because he had a systematic mistake with that much before adjectives, that much familiar. Yeah, I gave him 7 in grammar, not 8. I think I give 7, 8, 7, 8, something like that. I think I gave 8 for, I don't know what I gave for pronunciation. Yeah, thinking back, I don't know. Maybe 7 for pronunciation, maybe is slightly more appropriate. Who knows? 7, 7.5. A weak 7.5 or a strong 7. That's what I would say. English language says, what about individual sounds? My teacher said if you want to improve speaking, you have to pronounce every single words correctly. If your mistakes in pronouncing individual sounds are that much, you get 6. So actually, in Band 6, we say individual words or phonemes may be mispronounced, but this causes only occasional lack of clarity. But we have to think about it over the course of the test. So 1 or 2 mispronounced words, 3 or 4 mispronounced words, that's not going to be a huge problem, and it's not going to limit your score to a 6. But if, the examiner's impression, reflecting on the test, thinking, yeah, there were quite a few words that were mispronounced there, that might limit you to a 6. Doesn't mean that every word has to be pronounced correctly. Yeah. I don't remember if I've ever had an instance where I've given a speaking test and every word has been pronounced correctly. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. There's always 1 or 2 mispronunciations of individual words or sounds, phonemes, right? B, k, th, u, I. Is it true that part 3 is the most important part of them all? No, they're all important. Part 1, I want to see if you can talk about yourself and if you can talk about your bits of personal information. I will say part 3 is the most difficult. The target level in part 1 is just about B1. The target level in part 2 is about B2. And the target level in part 3 is about C1. It's more difficult, right? And if you look at the CEFR, it's the one differentiator. B2s can usually speak about familiar and general interest topics. C1s can speak about familiar, personal, general interest, and even some areas that are not general interest, some areas that are quite unfamiliar. That's what the C1s can do that the B1s and the B2s can't in general. How to share ideas smoothly. It's a skill. I can't, how to play the guitar. What am I... My job is hopefully to help you understand why people get the marks that they get. I can't, right? And it's the thing that people ask me the most. How do I improve my grammar? How do I improve my fluency? How do I improve my pronunciation? I don't know you. I don't know what difficulties you have expressing your ideas. I don't know, in most cases, people can't express their ideas clearly because they lack vocab, in my opinion. In other cases, it's because they know too much vocab and they're trying to use too much vocab. In some cases, it's a fact of people speaking slowly, too slowly, because their brain can't get the words out. So I can't diagnose your problem ASLTV, how to share ideas smoothly. I can't diagnose the problem, so I can't offer any solutions without that diagnosis. These days I'm focusing on language immersion so that I can absorb the spoken English, but the thing is, I heard some other people are saying that in IELTS you should use formal language. Who's saying in IELTS you should use formal language? In IELTS writing, task 2, you have to write an essay which should be academic in style. In IELTS speaking, part 1 are personal familiar topics, and so you're going to be using language that is neutral, slightly informal. In part 3, when you're asked to talk about more abstract topics, those questions are a bit more difficult, and they may require a slightly higher register, and they may require to use some topic-specific language that isn't used so much in informal speech. So part 1 tends to have more informal language, and part 3 tends to have slightly more formal language. If people are telling you that in IELTS you should use formal language, I would say stop speaking to those people. Assad also asks, is it okay to speak in a natural spoken way rather than mechanical answers? Yeah, mechanical answers, bad. There we go. Mechanical answers, bad. I remember the examiner asked me many follow-up questions within my answers just to make sure that I knew what they meant. Yeah, some examiners like doing follow-up questions. Some of them avoid it completely. If you're off topic, the examiner should step in. Sometimes the examiner might want to put you under pressure. Mirza, the person who says, take my IELTS, take my exam, says, you are ignoring your subscribers, Glyn. Can you take a test from me? My exam is near, please. Okay, you're going on timeout. I am not ignoring my subscribers. I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can, which I'm doing right now. So you're going on timeout for 5 minutes. Yay. Sorry, Mirza, you're on timeout. Alan Backer says, Glyn, sorry once again. I was also wondering about the borderline for some unsystematic errors becoming systematic, article misuse, or subject-verb agreement. Yeah, subject-verb agreement is something you should get right anyway. So systematic versus non-systematic, that's really Band 8 versus Band 7. So if you have, repetitive problems with subject-verb agreement, you're not going to get the Band 8. At least for me. Articles are interesting. With articles, because there are so many rules connected to articles, for me, having like 3 mistakes with articles isn't enough to say it's a systematic mistake. Having 3 mistakes with the same rule in articles would be. So let's say we take the most basic article rule, which is the verb to be plus un plus something. Something is something, right? I am a teacher. It is a pen. It is a phone. She is a girl. He is a boy. That rule with articles. If we have that mistake a few times, for me, that shows a systematic error. And interestingly, many strong candidates from Uzbekistan keep saying, I am student, instead of I am a student. Even this candidate said, I am student, which made me think, like, that's weird. Didn't expect that. So yeah, the definition of systematic mistake is also not a perfectly clear one. The most common definition I think of a systematic mistake is, a mistake with the same grammar point repeatedly. But some people see systematic mistakes as being, not following basic structures, not using the copular verb to be, not using subject, verb, object order, depends on the level. But yeah, I've awarded like Band 8s to candidates who I thought maybe have systematic errors. So again, like everything, you have the band descriptors, but you also have 11 to 14 minutes of speech. And so not everything is going to fit 100% perfectly in there. So sometimes we have to use a little bit of common sense and to think, well, the range was really, really, really good with grammar. So even though there may have been a couple of systematic errors, I do feel like probably I could award an 8. And, examiners work that out. What really happens if someone goes for an EOR in speaking? Is it marked entirely by a new examiner? Yeah, the speaking part will be recorded and it will be listened to by a different examiner, yes. But again, EOR, that's an administrative question. I'm not an administrator. I don't work at an IELTS test center. I don't know the protocols of all of that stuff. But yeah, if you request an EOR for writing or for speaking, it will be checked by a different examiner, not the same one. Chima Sportswear Industry says, Sir, please answer my question. Let's see if I can find Chima's question. What's the most important part speaking test to get 6.5 band? So the question to me suggests that maybe you're not very serious. You have 4 criteria. right? You have fluency and coherence, you have lexical resource, you have grammatical range and accuracy, and you have pronunciation. To get 6.5, you need 2 7s and 2 6s. That's the most common way of getting a 6.5. I don't know how you use English. For most people, 7 in pronunciation and 7 in maybe vocabulary, maybe those are the easiest parts to get a 7 for most people. So maybe you could target those. But I know for candidates from Bangladesh and India, for those people, it can be really difficult to get the 7 in pronunciation. So I don't know who you are, where you're from. How many timeline is a day? I don't know what that means. And how many timeline is a day we need to practice daily to get 6.5 bands in? If you're looking for 6.5, you should be a B2 user of English, right? You should be a B2, high B2 user of English. If your English level is at high B2, you don't need to practice much at all. You need 2 weeks of familiarization, maybe for the writing, a bit more time. If your language is not B2, if your language is B1, you're going to need 9 months to get your language to that strong B2 level. So the timeline, how many hours you spend, depends on where you are right now. It's like asking, how long do I need to train before I can run a 5K? Well, there are some people that don't need to train at all. They can get up and they can run a 5K. And then there are other people that have never even walked a mile in the last 2 years. They're going to need more time. So I can't tell you how long you need. Judging by the way that you write, I would say that you're probably a B1 user of English. Your grammar looks like that. I would say maybe you need 9 months, and maybe you need to forget about IELTS and you need to do some general English training for 6 months and then do 3 months of IELTS practice. But I can't diagnose, I can't say what you need to do because I don't know who you are. I'm sorry. Coders says, do you have any speaking course meant to IELTS speaking exam? No, generally, I mean, I have been thinking, like, could I make a course that's useful? And I was thinking about it, and maybe I'll do it in the future. But the IELTS YouTubers I know who sell courses, like the ones that I see, I just think that they're charlatans, liars, and scammers, and I don't trust any of them. Maybe like Keith Speaking Academy or something. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like a talented guy. Maybe I would trust Keith, the Eli guy with the red hair. He seems okay, but I don't know if you really need an IELTS speaking course. Most of those people are just selling. They just want to make money. So I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to be one of those guys that's selling courses. I sell speaking tests. I think they're useful. Marat says, I couldn't properly understand my examiner's accent. She happened to be from Turkey, but I clearly understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's a problem. Some people have the skill to speak clearly. Some people just can't do it. And unfortunately, if I was hiring an examiner, the first thing that I would look for is, would that accent, would the pronunciation be understandable? This is a feature called language accommodation. This is where people change the way that they naturally speak so that other people can understand them. Some examiners are not skilled with language accommodation, and unfortunately for me, in my opinion, it's one part where IELTS examiners don't get enough training, because I know quite a lot of IELTS examiners who can't ask questions in a way that's understandable. Yeah, it's a pity. There are a few questions, a few more. I'm trying to get through as many as possible. I got an 8.5 3 times back to back. Cool. But been getting 8 either in grammar or fluency and coherence. Was wondering what's wrong. Yeah, I know it sounds hacky, Alan Backer, but I would say if you want to know what's wrong with your grammar, take a speaking test with me and I can tell you. But, either you get lucky on the live session and, whether you watch every week or whether you watch just once, You might get lucky with a live session. At the moment, for December and January, I have a much reduced price for the speaking tests. They will be going back up in February because I just have too many paid speaking tests and it's a lot. But yeah, if you really want to know what's wrong with your grammar, then take a paid speaking test and you'll get full feedback on all aspects of your speech. If you don't have the money to do it, then unfortunately I can't work for free all the time. I do a lot of stuff for free, but I can't help everybody for free all the time, unfortunately. Chima Sportswear Industry, I'm from Pakistan. Yeah, people from Pakistan usually have really good communication skills, really good fluency. Sometimes people from Pakistan speak a little bit too quickly, so, you know, make sure you're not speaking too quickly. Yeah, usually candidates from Pakistan also have quite weak grammar. So, and I'm not talking about advanced grammar. Many times candidates from Pakistan, they can use advanced grammar reasonably well. But when it comes to present simple, I do something, she does something. Present continuous, I'm doing, she's doing. Past simple, I did, she did. Candidates from Pakistan often have huge problems with that basic foundational grammar, and that's what stops them from getting higher than a 6. So yeah, if you're from Pakistan, I would, you know, I don't know you personally, but I would say target fluency and coherence, clear ideas, clear answers, developed answers, and focus on vocab, because I think probably many candidates from Pakistan already have that really good vocab. I have strong band 7.5, really close to 8. Theoretically, how long would it take me to achieve band 8.5 with consistent practice? I'd put a rough figure of 6 months. I think 6 months to go one band is fine. Many of my candidates, after getting their feedback, they go up a score of, 5 or 0.5 or a whole band, but it's definitely not guaranteed. And especially when you're at that high level, it's a bit more difficult, right? Going from 5.5 to a 6.5 is much easier than going from 7.5 to an 8.5. You'll need 2 9s. And if you're getting 7.5, finding 2 9s, that's going to be tough. But again, without listening to you speak, I don't know. 6 months of really good practice, maybe you'll be okay. Tukirak says, I got 8.0 in 3 criteria and even got 9 in fluency once, but I keep getting 7 in grammar. How to improve? If you watch my channel, you'll know that I don't answer that question, how do I improve grammar? Study. That's it. Study. How do I improve grammar? I'm here as an examiner to evaluate speaking, right? To talk about my experience of what I see in answers. How do I get better at something? Surely you know that. Surely, do you know that the grammar mistakes that you make? Have you got feedback on the grammar mistakes that you make? I will say, Tukirak, it's probably not range of grammar. It's probably accuracy. In my experience, when candidates get 7.0 in grammar, they are short of the 8, not because of the range, but they are short because of the accuracy. So, you have to get more than 50% of your sentences error-free without any mistakes. Can you do that? Challenging. It's challenging, but get feedback. Jessica asks if I'm doing mock tests with random candidates from the live stream. Yeah, I've done 3. Now I'm taking questions. What is the price per session? Check out expertexaminer.com. That's my website. Links. It's on the screen, right? It's on the screen, expertexaminer.com. £25 for a YouTube test, £75 for the private one. So if you're happy to appear on YouTube, if you don't mind being on YouTube for the months of December and January, you can get that speaking test with full video feedback for just £25. Some people said that's really expensive. It's actually less than minimum wage in the UK. So at the moment for December and January, I am earning from the paid speaking tests that I do, I'm earning less than minimum wage in the UK. Now, I'm a person with almost 20 years of experience in ESL. My students do not pay those prices. £25 for a speaking test plus full video feedback. It's incredibly cheap, but okay, not for everyone in all countries. Coda says, I've been fascinated by your dedication. You've spent almost 2 hours for free. Actually, 3 hours. 3 hours and 15 minutes, actually. How it would be if it's not free, I would buy your course without a second thought. Yeah, Codas, a lot of people said that. When I didn't have paid speaking tests, so many people said, oh, please do a paid speaking test. Can we do a paid speaking test? Once I set up a company and said, okay, guys, now I have paid speaking tests. Nobody came. Because it's the internet. And you don't trust IELTS YouTubers with courses. Although if I do make a course in the future, I might change my mind. But in general, people make courses when they want to make money, right? They know that you want a high score. And people like IELTS Advantage say, if you give us money, we will give you the score that you need. Doesn't work like that. There's no magic formula. You learn English or you don't. Your English level is high enough or it isn't. Cool. Alan Backer says, I will be taking several paid mock sessions in Jan, hopefully. Cool, but make sure, I mean, even if you don't take it with me, take it with someone who you can rely on. Take it with someone that's going to give you meaningful feedback. Don't take it with Ross IELTS or a place like that. Try to get full feedback. Not because places like Ross IELTS, they'll just say, oh yeah, your pronunciation's good, but you mispronounce this word, or your grammar's good, but this is one grammar mistake you have, or you need to use more fillers and boosters. I don't think they know what fillers and boosters are. They say you need to use more connectors, like despite, in spite of, however, although they give the same feedback to every single candidate. So if you are getting a paid mock speaking test, even if you don't do it with me, if you do it with someone else, do it with someone. Try to do it with someone whose feedback you've seen, right? So you can watch the feedback and you can think, okay, do I trust that person? Is that the type of feedback I want? So yeah, be careful. Rapid Shorts Tube says, can you do it for free? Why should I do it for free? I do lots of stuff for free on YouTube. I've done more than 100 free IELTS mock speaking tests for free on YouTube. So I don't know. And I do it, try to do 2 or 3 live streams a month where I do speaking tests for free. So Ali asks, do you do online courses? No, I don't. Can you tell which is more valuable, fluency or grammar? They are equally valuable, but fluency is part of fluency and coherence. So technically, although it's not like that, fluency is worth 12.5%, coherence is worth 12.5%, grammar is worth 25%. So there you go, grammar is more important. Ali says, do not do clickbaits in the future, like learn this trick to get 9.0 in speaking secret that examiners don't want you to know. Yeah, it's, I mean, as an IELTS content creator, right, on YouTube, you do get some feedback. You do get feedback from YouTube that tells you people are searching for this. This is what people are searching for. People are searching for IELTS hacks, IELTS secrets. And so that's why you see so many of these videos, because that's what people are searching for. So it's not just the content creator's fault, it's the people who search for that stuff. But that's what people want, right? One of my favorite content creators, Chima Sportswear Industry, you're going on timeout as well. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not ignoring anybody. I'm trying to read as many messages and answer as many questions as possible. So Chima Sportswear Industry, you are on timeout for 5 minutes. Yay. Okay. Whew. Yeah, one of my favorite YouTubers is Diane Neubauer. She teaches Chinese. She's into this comprehensible input stuff. She has a podcast, and her podcast gets about 10 views. And she's amazing. She's a PhD. She is absolutely incredible. She is, like, in terms of language stuff, she's one of the people I would trust the most when it comes to information on language learning. She gets 10 candidates. Chris Pell, one of the people I would trust the least with anything in life, has 4 million subscribers, 4.5 million subscribers. So yeah, that's the nature of YouTube. It doesn't reward professionalism and quality. It rewards, marketing, gimmicks. I will say IELTS Advantages videos, they look beautiful. The production quality is out of this world. It's fantastic. So they really do have like a good marketing thing there. Yeah. Glyn, can't you organise IELTS speaking tests? I'd really want to have a speaking test with you, but I never really get lucky on your live streams. What more do you want from me? What more? I've been here for like 3 hours and 20 minutes. Like, what more do I can't. The problem, Behruz, and this is the issue that I think many people don't understand. There's one of me, right? There's one Glyn, and I have almost 14,000 subscribers. Now, 14,000 people don't watch my videos, of course. 2,000 people in the Telegram chat, but about 30 people or 25 people put their names forward to be candidates for free. That's the trade-off, Behruz. If you want it for free, you are competing with lots of other people who want it for free. If you really want the speaking test, pay the £25. If you can't afford the £25, go to fiverr.com and see if you'll find somebody who'll give you a mock speaking test for €10. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be great. It might even be awful, but you will get your mock speaking test. If you're desperate for a speaking test with me, you pay the money or you hope to get lucky. But you don't come to my YouTube chat and ask, like, please, like, if you're not lucky, then you're not lucky. Sorry about that. Linux says, will there be a fourth candidate? It's been 3 hours and 20 minutes. I don't think I have time to do that. I'll just take a few more questions. Can you practice with me, says Humayun. No. Will there be a fourth candidate? Okay, that's the second question. Linux, I know you've been a viewer of the channel for a while, but please don't spam the chat. What do you make of a channel called IELTS Advantages here on YouTube? Nice question, Murat. I should be careful what I say, but I don't like the content that they make, and I don't trust the people who run it, and I think the marketing that they use is extremely aggressive, and in many cases it's really distasteful. I think using your own children in marketing, I think it's weird. I think it's really, really weird. And on top of that, I just... One thing I will say about IELTS Advantage, a positive thing, I saw some of the writing feedback that one of their teachers gave, and it was amazing. It was really, really good, really, really instructive. So obviously they do have people who are working there who know their stuff. In terms of the face of the company, Chris Pell, I get a feeling that I really don't like him as a person, but also there are so many instances where what he said is absolute provable nonsense. If you conduct a speaking course in the future, how much will it cost? Coders, I don't know. Marat says you're so cute. Okay, I think that's probably the time to leave it. Thank you very much for supporting me throughout 2026. Thanks for all of your positive comments, and thanks for not just asking all the time, please give me something for free, please give me something for free, please give me something for free. I do appreciate your company. I know most people are here just to get, hoping to get a speaking test. I understand. There will be more of these in the new year. I think my content will change a little bit now that how can I attend your speaking mock exam? I have learnt a lot over this last year and a half of YouTubing about, the types of responses that IELTS candidates give. I'd never really wanted to be much of an advice channel. I'm not here to say you should do this or you should do that. But I do feel like I have enough insights from people's responses where now I can probably make a few videos to say like, hey, a bunch of people do this, this is better. Or this is, not a great strategy to use. Why don't you do this? Or this is a way to take notes in part 2, because people seem unable to take proper notes in part 2. So those are some things that I'm hoping to do in 2026. But of course, most of the stuff will still be, hopefully, speaking tests. Thank you, Ali. Wish you all the best in 2026. Wish you all the best too. Have a wonderful New Year's celebration tomorrow. Those of you who are celebrating, for those of you who are going to eat plov and lagman and all of that good stuff. What's that salad? Chucha. I've forgotten my Uzbek food. And your shashlik and all of that good stuff. Enjoy. Coders says, if you conducted a speaking course, there would be enough students who would be ready to pay. No, trust me, they wouldn't. Coders, not. I promise, if I made a speaking course tomorrow, I would not sell 10 in the first 3 months. It would not sell 10. I absolutely promise you this. Would not. Definitely. Anyway. Thank you all for your company. Enjoy your New Year celebration. That's probably the last from me for this year, but I will see you all in the new year. Thanks again. Have a wonderful evening and ciao for now.